Updated after it starts. Now, it's time for John and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour one, John and Jim. A great day to be a Padres fan. We wait on this lineup, though. We think Jackson Merrill will be activated and in the lineup. We're waiting on that and a corresponding move for the Padres, who have won 6 straight, as Jim said. And we've got a really good show lined up for you. Kyle Glazer used to be with Baseball America. He is an incredible voice on all things Padres, now with Friar Territory podcast. He'll join us at 2:30. Then friend of the show, Scott Miller. Listen to this timing. So Scott Miller is going to join us at 3:30. He's been with us a lot over the years, obviously, Jim. And he has a book that's coming out next week. And you know what the title is? Why Baseball Managers Matter.
Oh!
And the timing is impeccable considering last night, as Mike Shildt gets ejected, along with Fernando Tatis Jr., the skies open up, so do the Padres bats. They come to life in the 8th inning. It is as good of a win as the Padres have had this year. We'll see if they can parlay it here tonight. Managers absolutely matter, and Mike Shildt has proven that in his 2 years with the Padres, including last night. We'll hear from Mike Shildt coming up, but an epic regular season win at Yankee Stadium in the rain for the Padres last night.
Would you define it as a signature win, John?
Oh, I'm putting signature. Give me more words for it.
I'm signing that baby like 4 times.
Wouldn't you want a picture, like the frame it picture you talked about, of Shildt right in the umpire's face, Adrian, whatever his name is, Johnson or Gonzalez, whatever his name is. And wouldn't you want that signed by Shildt in silver Sharpie?
Shilt's head's about to explode.
Just throwing those glasses.
He's throwing up like some random numbers, and he's just dropping an F-bomb every other sentence.
Glasses everywhere.
His face is like pure red.
His face was really red, dude.
You can see the steam coming out of his ears.
Dude, when I'll say this, man. Find a manager that defends his players more than Mike Shildt. Like, Toddy was just walking back to the dugout. He was content, I think, with being tossed. Mike Shildt was not content.
He's like, did you get tossed? Did you get tossed?
And then the Padres rally and respond, and Machado and Bogaerts and some of the others as well. Just for me, in a regular season setting, it's up there with a signature defining memorable game. Like, that's one of those games you're going to remember. It's not a postseason game, but in a regular season, Jim, and the Padres are completely rolling right now. Just completely rolling as they've won 6 straight.
One of my favorite parts about, and we'll get right to it, the Shildt ejection there in the 8th inning, which I think fired everybody up and led to the comeback victory, or at least it was the start of the comeback victory. My favorite part was after he walked past Tatis. Did you just get tossed? Like, asking that to Tatis.
I was like, I guess.
Yeah, I did. And then he looks at Adrian Johnson and he rips up his scorecard, knowing, like, all right, I'm going to get tossed. There's no reason to have this anymore. He's like, you want to go? You want to go? You want to effing go? Takes his glasses off very calmly and just like the slightest toss to the side. And he's like, all right, let's go, bro. And then the F-bombs drop and he's just tearing into this dude. I absolutely loved it. And I would assume that every Padres fan loved it as well, because he wasn't holding back. And for all the times that we have said, you know, Shildt and his post-game pressers are as cringy, which he is. And, you know, like, why are you defending a guy that's like 0 for 20? And then why are you defending these actions and whatnot? The moment last night when Shildt was defending Toddy is exactly why these players love him and will go to war with him every single day.
Yeah, it's kind of like the moment you went from a really good Padres manager to like a legendary Padres manager, potentially. Listen to what the players said, like Machado postgame on Shilt's angry demonstration. It was bleeping great, man, said Xander Bogaerts. Shildt came down the tunnel and he was still chirping. I think he was ready to fight. He was ready. He kept going. Luis Ariz, I love Mike Shildt. He supports his players. Fernando Tatis Jr., Mike always has our back. And he shows us every night in every way possible. I love that from a manager. I love playing for that guy. Why managers matter. Scott Miller writing a book that's getting published next week.
Yeah, it was one of the times in the season where having your players back, no matter what, matters a lot, because all you want as a player is someone to defend you. All you want in your workplace is your boss to have your back. All you want in life is just to have somebody have your back when you need it. And especially in baseball and in all sports, right? You want your manager, coach, whatever, GM, whoever it is, to have your back. You don't want to be thrown under the bus publicly. While we talk and we throw guys under the bus all the time and we criticize and then we praise when it's time to praise people and whatnot, like for a manager, if you throw a dude under the bus, like you've lost that guy and you potentially lost the team. Going back to the Tingler days when he kind of threw Toddy under the bus for swinging at 3-0, and it was like, are we serious right now? And not one time did he ever have a moment like Shildt had last night, and the players completely lost him, completely lost the players. And that's happened with Andy Green at times, even though Andy Green was pretty fiery. Happened with Bob Melvin at times in year number 2 with the club. But from day one, Shildt has been so steadfast in supporting his dudes. It kind of all culminated last night with having that insane ejection shouting match with Adrian Johnson. Like, dude, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
What I loved even more was that they came through, because it doesn't always work like that. I mean, you're left for dead. It's 3-0. It's raining. Tarps on the field. It's cold. You've won 5 straight games over, right? I've watched that game before, and we've seen Padres teams before. You're down 3 runs, the game is over. Not the last 2 years of Padres teams under Mike Shildt. But remember this, even before the Toddy ejection, you had guys like Tyler Wade and Brandon Lockridge reach base.
Yep.
So they're
Tyler
already
Wade,
on.
Lockridge got on with a single.
Exactly. So they're already on before this all transpires. And even after everything, Toddy's ejected, fireworks explode, Adrian Johnson ejects the manager as well. You still need Manny Machado to come through, and he does. You still need Xander Bogaerts, and we should take a moment to appreciate what Xander Bogaerts has done for the last week.
Absolutely.
In his last 6 games, he has 8 RBIs, but it's not just that. It's not down 10-0, up 10-0. All 8 of the RBIs have mattered in Padres wins. So 2 of them yesterday, 3 of them against the Giants, I think in a 7-4 win. He had 3 of them the other day as well on the road in Pittsburgh in a win. So like all 8 of them have mattered. We've said this before. It's about impact. It's not about hitting 309 or hitting 29 home runs. Right now with Xander, it's about impact, and he's been really impactful all week long for the Padres.
I said on the wrap-up show last night, it reminded me of the game last year against the Washington Nationals here at Petco Park, one of the most memorable games of the regular season last year, where the night before, Profar gets to walk off, Jesse Winker and the Nationals take exception to it. Next day, first at bat, they throw it, Profar, he gets hit. Bench is clear. Everybody's, jawing at each other. Manny steps in and whatnot. And then right away, Manny hits that 2-run home run. And it was the biggest FU that you could have last year, like in that moment. And they won that game. Right. Because after Profar gets hit, you're like, dude, you can't lose this game.
Exactly.
Like, you got to win this game.
Exactly.
Now, that was early on. That was the first inning. So there was a lot of game left there to play. There's a lot of things that could have happened. Last night, this was in the 8th inning, so it wasn't like it happened in the first inning and then a rain delay and then everybody calms down. Like, this was 8th inning, 2 outs. Manny and Bogey come through. Bullpen shuts it down. Shildt has an amazing ejection. There are some ejections that you could look at for managers and say, like, that was a good ejection. And I think last night was a good ejection.
Oh my gosh, it was a great ejection. Yeah. I mean, it was the right time. He got his money's worth. It propelled the Padres to a win. He's got the entire team in his corner.
Yep.
I mean, it was played beautifully. Let's hear from Mike Shildt postgame, Brent. So Mike Shildt did discuss his interaction with Adrian Johnson, the plate umpire, that led to his ejection. He discussed Fernando Tatis Jr.'s ejection and the win as well. Take a listen.
What can you tell us about your discussion with Adrian?
I don't know how much you want to share. I mean, a couple things. Listen, so Toddy, I thought, handled it very well in the sense of, and I'll start by saying this. I mean, look, it's a hard job. I've got good relationships, great relationships with, and respect, and the body of work speaks for itself, which I'll get to in a minute. But with umpires, and Toddy had some pitches that didn't agree with. I didn't agree with earlier. I had made my comments from the dugout known, which I don't do a ton, but did it, walks away, hand over his mouth, And next thing you know, he's ejected, walking away with his back turned for his first major league ejection. And then there's a comment about, which I won't even share the comment, but all I can say is this. We'll talk about track record. I don't have players that I've managed for a long time now, minor leagues, big leaguers. I don't have players that get ejected. My job's to do, and I don't get ejected a lot. All right. So, but I probably have the fewest amount of player ejections in my time managing. So our players play, they stay in the game. They're very respectful, rightfully so, to the umpires. I have the majority of the league that over the course of many years have been complimentary about how our players respect them, and me and our staff respect them. But he made a decision. He threw him out. I let the body of the work for the umpire grade speak for itself, and we'll leave it at that.
You've had a lot of good wins early this season already, given how tonight transpired. And it seemed like what you felt was an unjust ejection of one of your players. How satisfying was this win compared to any other so far?
Yeah, it's fair. They all are equal in the column. This one has, even deeper entrenched of who we are and how we compete. It's just the fabric of this club, the grid squad, and just, it's a reinforcement of playing the game all the time the right way, and good things will happen over the course of that. It's clearly a nice big win.
I love the question. Hey, Mike, what happened in that conversation with Adrian Johnson? Well, there were 730 F-bombs. So
it wasn't really conversation.
Probably can't really talk about that. And also, it wasn't really conversation, like you say. Like,
he was just screaming.
I was yelling at him, and he was yelling at me. And a lot of F-bombs were thrown.
I want to hear from Manny Machado postgame. This is with John Morosi, and we'll share that with you on the other side. Plus, we're still waiting on a Padres lineup for tonight, inside 2 hours until first pitch. Again, rainy conditions in New York, and once they activate Jackson Merrill, if they indeed do, they'll need to make a corresponding move. So we haven't seen it as of yet. We should see it momentarily. We'll hear from Manny Machado. Kyle Glazer, Friar Territory Podcast, will join us coming up at 2:30. Scott Miller, great baseball writer, will join us at 3:30. Just underway. Don't go anywhere. Getting you ready for Padres and Yankees Game 2. Coming up next, John and Jim. All right, San Diego Sports 760 has 13 chances to win $1,000 every weekday. It's the Bonus Bucks giveaway that's every hour, 6 a.m. through 6 p.m. Listen for the keyword, then enter it at sportssd.com. John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. We'll hear from Kyle Glaser coming up at 2:30. Great voice on all things Major League Baseball and Padres. We're waiting on this lineup, Jim, and corresponding move less than 2 hours in front of Yankees-Padres Game 2. What do you think the holdup is? Is it the corresponding move? Is it the wet weather? Are they testing out Merrill's hamstring? Give it another stretch this afternoon to make sure it's okay.
We stretch this out a little bit more.
We're just kind of waiting. The Yankees lineup was out 2 hours ago. I just searched Padres lineup and I saw a reply to a Padres tweet that said, release the bleeping lineup, Padres. So we're waiting for the lineup.
By the way, side note, you know what we're also waiting for?
What's that?
Is a breakdown from John Boy on last night's ejection with Mike Shildt.
Yeah, where's that?
I need all of it.
Because it's already 5 o'clock Eastern. You think that would have already come out?
I need the breakdown. I need the lineup. I need the Jackson Merrill's back tweet because you're wearing your Jackson Merrill t-shirt.
What's it say?
We apply pressure. We don't feel it.
Thank you, RotoWare.
Jackson Merrill has like fire in his eyes over there.
Yeah,
I need all of that.
It's a nice shirt.
It's a great shirt. Why are you wearing a shirt under the shirt?
Because I thought it might be chilly in here. It's a little chilly outside, at least by the coast. You live by the water.
I do, but
it's May.
It's a bold move to wear a long sleeve t-shirt.
No, it's not a bold move.
Underneath a regular t-shirt.
This is from the guy that says the Rockies aren't a once proud franchise. So should we be taking advice from you?
From me?
I'm kidding.
Or from you? You're the one that said it.
If you're watching on YouTube right now, is there anything wrong with this look? Or 70470, start it with team, even if you can't see me. Is there anything wrong with this look? Yeah, sure. I do have an SDSU word on this white shirt. That's fair.
I was about to say,
but if you
like
can't
the
see
lettering on the sleeves.
Well, you can't see that. Nothing wrong at all, Gio. Thank you, Gio.
I don't know.
It's
an interesting look.
It is an interesting look.
It's a choice.
I mean, we're on radio.
I know, but I'm just saying in general. You're going to go out like that, right? You're going to do something for this.
I'm not going. No, I'm not going out.
Did you
I'm
do
not
something
going to
before
the Met
this?
Gala tonight. It's not like my next stop isn't like the red carpet.
Did you go anywhere before this today?
Yeah, I got gas.
Okay.
I actually went to Orange Theory, but I wasn't wearing this.
Okay, that's good.
Orange Theory.
That's good.
You should come join me at Orange Theory one day.
Well, if we go to Orange Theory, we're not going to do anything because you don't do anything.
I don't do anything. Manny McNuggets. John, you look like a 14-year-old skater from 1999. Eric Bogaerts says in Portland, I do it all the time. Thank you, Eric. Can we hear from Manny Machado? And then we're going to have Kyle Glaser join us coming up at 2:30. This was Manny Machado postgame in the rain with John Morosi holding an umbrella over his head as if he needed it. He was outside all night without an umbrella. But this was John Morosi, MLB Network with Manny Machado after the win.
8th inning, how did the energy change? Mike Shildt ejected, Tatis ejected, and then you rallied.
Yeah, man. I mean, the team rallied up there. You know, we had some good at-bats early on that at-bat. Tyler Wade got on. Then Locke came up, got on. Obviously then it was a tough at-bat there with Toddy getting those pitches down in the zone. And then, just the truth. We rallied together. We keep fighting as a team and, try to do some damage late in the game like that when we have those opportunities.
You have a career .352 batting average with the bases loaded. What is the key? What's the secret to being so great in those situations?
I don't know. I mean, guess I like hitting with runners on. I mean, they got to come to you at that point. They can't walk me. So, just looking for a pitch that you could do some damage on. And, he left one there. It was a good pitch, but I was able to make a good swing on it.
Manny, for the kids at home, that inside fastball that you're always able to turn. When you're in Cooperstown one day, we'll be talking about that swing by you. What is it about that inside pitch for the kids watching at home? What's the key to hitting that inside fastball?
Not trying to do too much. Don't overdo it. It's a tough pitch to get in. So you just got to let your body do it. Trust the process and let your body get in the right position to be able to do it and get the barrel there. But the key is not to do too much.
And finally, Manny, I've got a great teammate by the name of Yonder Alonso who wants to know, what'd you say to the guys to keep them engaged during the rain delay today?
Oh, man, it was tough. It was tough. I mean, it's been raining all day. We go out there, we start, then it starts pouring. Then we have another little rain delay there in between, and just trying to stay focused. We went in there, watched the little Knicks Celtics game, kind of get our minds off of it. We had Rondon on the other side dealing, so we have to try to figure him out and try to get him out the game as possible, as quickly as possible, and just trying to stay engaged. It's a long game. it was going to be a long day with this rain, but we pulled it off with a good win.
All right, Manny in the rain. Another big hit for Manny. He's had a really nice start to his year. We went over his numbers last night. 294, 800, 820 OPS. Some big moments, including last night. Still waiting for the power numbers overall. They'll come. He's hit 3 home runs, but the Padres are 23-11. A big reason why. Manny Machado.
I like how John Palmarosi started his questions with, for the kids at home.
What kid is like, man, I really need to hear about Manny's approach right now. I hope they ask him something about his approach.
I think an 8-year-old's asking his dad, hey, Dad, how do I hit the inside fastball?
What 8-year-old is even like sitting there watching?
Daddy, how do I turn on a 97-mile-an-hour fastball in my hands?
To your point, it was like 11:30 Eastern. It was 8:30 Pacific, but Pacific, you couldn't even watch the game in San Diego because it was blacked out.
How do I lay off a breaking pitch on the outside? Dad?
See, I'm so glad you asked me that.
Like, well, for all the 6-year-olds out there.
So here's the thing. You just want to open up a little bit. Like, open up that front foot. He actually said he just don't try to do too much. I mean, he did reference the fact that I think he said 354 in his career with the bases loaded. Like, that's some serious work. Because Manny has caught flack before from me and others.
And me.
For a lack of true clutch hitting. Like, look at his postseason numbers.
They're bad.
They're not good.
No.
Now, his overall numbers are going to speak for themselves. I saw Too Much Morton's tweeted something out today that, like, he may have the most hits ever by a third baseman through age 32 because he's still 32.
He's on pace to be a Hall of Famer, like, no question about it.
Yeah, like first ballot. Here it is. Adrian Beltre has the most ever hits by a third baseman through age 32, and Manny's on pace to have 50 hits more than Beltre by the time he turns 33.
And Beltre was a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Correct.
He was like beloved. He easy first ballot Hall of Famer, Adrian Beltre. Now, will Manny's, I guess, quote unquote, rep be a reason why he won't get in first ballot?
Not if he stays clean, quote unquote.
Yeah, I don't have that conversation today, but
it's Manny a Hall of Famer.
Is Manny a Hall of Famer?
Would you put him on the Mount Rushmore or the Mount Mushmore?
Yeah,
third baseman in baseball history.
The Mount Rushmore. What's your Mount Rushmore of?
Well, here's my Mount Rushmore of greatest Padres players of all time.
Oh,
he's on it.
Oh, okay.
I don't even need to do it.
Okay.
See on yours?
I have to think about it.
All right. Well, I thought about it for you. He's going to be on it.
So Manny, Trevor, and
I don't even care. He's on it.
Tony.
Yeah, I think Tony's going to be on that.
Right now, that's the 3.
Who's your 4th? Wrong.
What? It's Dave Winfield.
Winfield's a good one. Randy Jones.
Yeah, but he's not a Hall of Famer. He wants Cy Young.
True, but then again, not all the players you mentioned are Hall of Famers with Padres hats in Cooperstown.
Are we really having a Mount Rushmore talk?
No, but I'll tell you this: Manny Machado is going to be on it. All right, on the other side, Kyle Glazer used to be with Baseball America, now Friar Territory podcast. Who's on his top 4 list? I'm kidding. He'll get us ready for tonight. He'll react to what happened last night. The Padres' great come from behind win in the 8th with the ejections of Mike Shildt and Fernando Tatis Jr. Kyle Glazer joins us next, John and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by eBay. Padres and Yankees, game 2 from Yankee Stadium. First pitch, 4:05. Michael King back on the mound for the Padres, back in New York against his old team, the Yankees. Still no lineup yet, but Jackson Merrill is expected to be activated off the IL today and be back in the starting lineup. Of course, lineup has yet to be released. And NBA playoff action tonight, Pacers and Cavs, game 2 in Cleveland. That tips off at 4 p.m. Pacers have a 1-0 lead there. And Warriors and T-Wolves, game 1 tips off at 6:30 in Minnesota. Swapping out your tires, there's nothing like it with eBay. You find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay, things people love.
All right, great to connect with Kyle Glaser, Friar Territory podcast. Amazing voice in all things Major League Baseball and Padres, and would love to get his reaction following last night. Plus, the Padres have won 6 straight. They're expected to activate Jackson Merrill today. We haven't yet seen a lineup, though, from the Padres in advance of game 2. But, Kyle, we appreciate you hopping on with John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760 again. What was your reaction last night? Because it's not every game that a manager gets ejected and a team responds, but the thing worked out beautifully in the 8th inning last night for the Padres.
Yeah, it was just an impressive comeback all the way around. Let's not forget, Carlos Rodon was completely in control. The Padres offense looked helpless. You had a rain delay to start, a rain delay in the middle of the game. So many things were against the Padres, and really, I think you have to give some credit to the bottom of the order for getting that rally started. Tyler Wade with the walk, Brandon Lockridge with that 0-2, broken bat single into center field. And look, Fernando Tatis Jr., that was a pitch that was called against him a few times that night. And give Mike Shildt credit for standing up for his players and going out there. And I have to say, the lineup card, the pen and the glasses, was a really, really nice touch on his part.
Oh yeah, it was such a great toss of the glasses, and knowing he's going to get rung, just not breaking eye contact with Adrian Johnson, ripping up his scorecard, throwing his glasses. It was fantastic. But if not for what Xander Bogaerts and Manny Machado did last night, the ejection wouldn't have meant as much. And speaking of Xander, very impactful the last week here, Kyle, after really struggling the first month. From what you're seeing, do you feel like he's figured something out with his swing? Do you feel like he's turned it around here? And what have you made of his last week here?
Certainly been really encouraging. And the main thing I'm noticing is when he was really starting to struggle and spiral a little bit last month, you saw him when he was in the batter's box jumping at the baseball, which is what guys do when they're pressing, when they're lacking confidence, when they're searching for something. And it just kind of makes everything worse. What we're seeing from him more so the last week, again, hasn't been perfect, but it's been a lot better. You're just seeing a more confident hitter. He's staying in that back hip, letting the ball travel, trusting his hands, and just, reading and reacting to the baseball. And we're starting to see him hit a lot more hard line drives. Even some of his outs have been hard hit. He had a hard hit liner in Pittsburgh, a hard hit liner at the first baseman against the Giants. So I think just seeing him stay back on the baseball, trusting his hands, that's a sign of a more confident hitter, a more balanced hitter, and we're starting to see the results follow. Obviously, it's only been a week. You want to see him keep it up, but it was the kind of turnaround that he needed, and it's been really good to see.
8 RBIs in his last 6 games. They've all come in Padres wins. Again, the Padres have won 6 straight. Kyle Glaser, Friar Territory, is with us. A big reason why, Kyle, is this bullpen, right? Like, what can you say about it? It's not just that quote unquote A team with the, Robert Suarez's and the Jason Adams. It's basically the entirety of the bullpen. You could make the argument the reason the Padres are where they are, and maybe the Yankees are where they are, is the Padres bullpen has been elite. The Yankees hasn't. But what can you say about the overall body of work of this bullpen so far?
It has been historic. Look, this is one of the most effective bullpens we have seen in recent memory. Again, it's only May. It's a long season. There's a lot of time left. But, I mean, it's like you mentioned, it's not just the main guys, all of whom have ERAs under 2.5, but, the guys who aren't part of the A bullpen. Yuki Matsui's under 2.5. Wandy Peralta's at, 1.5 ERA. I mean, Alec Jacob, who is, considered not one of the key guys, he's at, 2.16. I mean, it's to a man. Every single one of them has been on point for the most part for the entirety of the year. And it's so rare. You have a lot of teams where they're good 6, 7, 8, maybe 7, 8, 9, but they have kind of, like you said, their A bullpen and their B bullpen. The Padres' B bullpen guys would be A bullpen guys for most other teams in baseball.
Yeah.
It's just something that's special to watch, and I think you just have to appreciate the greatness while you're watching it.
Yeah, and speaking of greatness, Fernando Tatis Jr., he's been great this season. He's kind of cooled off at the plate recently. Obviously, last night got the ejection, but, it is what it is. And he got hit on the arm on Friday. But what he did on Saturday in Pittsburgh, Kyle, I mean, he's finding ways to help out his team other than just at the plate. This is kind of like almost like a final form we're seeing of Tatis here this year, with the big caveat, if he stays healthy for the entire season.
Exactly. That's always the big thing with him. We have to keep in mind he has never played a full season except for the shortened 2020 season, largely due to injuries, also partially due to his PED suspension. So there's no question we are seeing the best, most complete version of Fernando Tatis Jr. You have to remember, he's in his age 26 season. He's just now entering his prime. I think a lot of people forget that because he's been around for so long. But you talk about he's doing everything. He's hitting for average. He's hitting for power. He's stealing bases. He's making great catches in right field. He's gunning guys down at the plate. And he's doing so with a consistency we haven't always seen. I mean, look, his career high average, outside of his rookie year, he's been a 260s, 270s hitter most of his career. He's up to 317 right now, his highest average since his rookie year. So obviously it's still early. He needs to stay healthy, but we are seeing a supremely talented player just now reaching his prime, and it's really special to watch.
It's been a lot of fun to watch. Kyle Glazer's with us right now from Friar Territory. John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. If they play tonight, again, there's been rain showers in the Northeast, obviously, as we know. It would be Michael King tonight against his former team. How do you expect this one to go? And Michael King's obviously been terrific for the Padres, and this is a huge opportunity for him. First time back in the Bronx since the trade.
Yeah, I talked with Mike Cameron about this a little bit earlier on this morning's episode of Friar Territory. And look, players always have a little bit of an extra edge when they're facing the team that traded them away, especially in the case of Michael King, the team he broke into the big leagues with, the team that really was his home for pretty much his entire big league career. Then they traded him. They weren't sure if he was going to be a reliever or starter. And he has certainly proven with the Padres that he can be not just a starter, but a frontline starter. So there's definitely an element here of him going back to New York and showing them, hey, you were wrong about me, and I'm going to prove it to you. Obviously, you don't want him to get too amped up and overthrow, but everything he's done throughout his tenure in San Diego, you trust him to go out and pitch like a number one, and pitch like a number one against good teams. We've seen him do it against the Braves, the Dodgers. He won't be intimidated at all pitching in Yankee Stadium, facing his old teammates. I expect him to be ready to go and in prime form.
Luis Ariz, the big conversation with him a lot of times is like, well, his WAR's not that high and he doesn't hit for much power, and like kind of the conversation of like, what's he really worth? Well, I think we're seeing that, early on this year, the team with him in the lineup, what is it, 23-6 or something?
22-6.
22-6. Yeah. He's been incredible when he's been in the lineup, even though he had that 0-for-13 start. His impact, Kyle, I feel like is an impact that, isn't always shown in the box score, even though he's a guy that can go out and get multiple hits for you every single game.
Well, I'd argue it is shown in the box score, but it's not shown in advanced metrics.
That's what, yeah.
Fail to understand about WAR and some, WRC pluses. Look, these are extremely convoluted formulas with subjectively weighted inputs that can be manipulated at any time. They significantly underweight contact. And they also are, you have to remember, defensive metrics are an absolute mess right now. So trying to integrate those, WAR is always going to be way too light on contact-oriented players and their impact, and it's not going to get defense right either. Ask the players on the field, ask the coaches on the field, ask the opponents on the field. Luis Ariz is one of the 20 to 25 most impactful position players in the game right now. He is an elite contact hitter, unlike anyone in the game, who fundamentally changes the way teams have to go through a lineup. And I can tell you, talking to opposing pitchers and catchers throughout the league, they hate facing him because every other batter in the league, including Judge, Ohtani, and the rest, they know if they go out and execute their pitch, more often than not, they're going to have success. Luis Ariz, there's nothing you can do. I've talked to so many pitchers that say, honestly, I should just throw a first pitch fastball down the middle because I want to save my bullets. He's going to hit it, and I just have to hope he hits it at someone. He makes pitchers and opposing catchers feel helpless. They do not like facing him, and he is an impactful force in a major league lineup that advanced analytics just don't fully appreciate because the inputs aren't weighted to appreciate him.
Great insight on Arise. And again, he's returned. The Padres have won 6 consecutive games. Now they're expected to get Jackson Merrill back. He hasn't played in the last 24 games for the Padres. It's been probably a month since the hamstring. So I would ask it like this, Kyle. Do you think Jackson Merrill is going to look like Jackson Merrill when he does return?
I think the Padres would not be putting him back in the lineup if he didn't look like Jackson Merrill. Hamstring injuries are really, really, really tricky. You do not want to rush a guy back from a hamstring injury. If his hamstring was not strengthened 100% fully ready to go, the Padres would not have brought him back. So look, there's always going to be an adjustment. You know, getting your timing back, coming back up and facing major league pitching is very different than just a quick rehab stint against AA kind of arms. But in terms of the way he's moving, I will be shocked if he doesn't look like his old form, because if he doesn't, that means the Padres brought him back too fast, which just wouldn't have been the right thing to do this early in the season.
Kyle, always appreciate it, man. Great work with Friar Territory. We appreciate you hopping on, John and Jim. We're looking forward to the rest of this series here in New York, and thanks for taking time for us here on 760.
Thanks, Kyle.
My pleasure. Anytime, guys.
All right, great stuff from Kyle Glazer. And on the other side, we are going to hear from Jackson Merrill.
We are, yeah. He has spoken, even though the Padres have yet to announce any corresponding roster moves or a lineup, or maybe that's the thing, is the corresponding roster move that's taking so long.
Corresponding move, yeah. So Jackson Merrill, he has spoke with the media. You'll hear from Jackson on the other side. Plus, Scott Miller has written a new book, and it's appropriately timed. It's about why baseball managers matter, and he will join us coming up at 3:30. We're getting ready for Padres-Yankees Game 2. You'll hear from Jackson Merrill next on John and Jim. right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Officially official. The Padres, within the last minute, have activated Jackson Merrill from the 10-day IL.
He is back!
They have option catcher Luis Campusano, who had a true cup of coffee here in the major leagues. He's back to AAA. He walked a lot, I think 4 walks, but he'll head back to AAA. Jackson Merrill has been activated. We should see a lineup any moment now from the Padres, about an hour out from Padres and Yankees game 2, and that's kind of on cue. We'll hear from Jackson Merrill in a moment, but if there were any questions about it, are we sure? Is he really coming off the IL today? It's wet, it's rainy. We didn't see him yesterday. Well, he'll be in the lineup tonight. He's been activated by the Padres. Does it feel nice?
Feels good. Feels good. Everybody's almost back.
Everyone's almost back, yeah.
The main pieces are back. Like the main pieces are now healthy.
Crony's only 2 games away. He's rehabbing.
Yeah, he is. The Chihuahuas posted a tweet today saying like Jay Cronenworth is in the lineup. So
get your tickets.
Get your tickets now. He'll soon be back, probably as early as this weekend.
Yeah.
And with him, it was a pain tolerance thing. And he also had to have a bone kind of heal. So, but yeah, I'm excited. Padres fans are excited. It's going to be just so refreshing and nice to see Jackson Merrill back in a Padres uniform, back in that lineup, and to stick him back in a lineup that's in the middle of a 6-game winning streak. You know, if they lose tonight, then yeah, it's all Jackson. It's all Jackson's fault. But it is nice to put him back in a lineup when they're hot. And there's not this pressure on him to be like, come be our savior.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be that. He really doesn't. I mean, you go back to a week ago, and I didn't think Arise would be their savior, but it's just fit perfectly at the right time, and they've played better baseball. We'll see if that continues with Jackson Merrill. So Merrill did speak with the media. Let's hear from Jackson this afternoon. Again, speaking with the media, he discusses what it's like to be back with the Padres and more.
Jackson, how good does it feel to be back?
Thank God. Thank God. I'm excited, Yankee Stadium, cool place, so I'm excited to get going.
What's the toughest part for you being away? Is it physically not playing baseball, not being with the guys, the whole thing? What's the toughest part for you?
I think everything just sucks about it, Yeah. You're kind of right there just sitting and watching, but, nothing better than me watching baseball, cheering my guys on. So I appreciate being back, and I stay mentally tough through it all. So, we're here. It's only a month and ready to play the rest of the season.
You got some energy ready to go. You're built up for the last week, ready to face the hound, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm excited for an adrenaline rush. I haven't had one in a while, so I'm pretty excited for that.
How important was it to make sure that this was taken care of and that it's not going to be returning again? Because there's always that balance of wanting to get back as quickly as can, but also making sure that you've got the issue resolved.
For me, I don't want to wait it all out. I played hurt a whole year if I could have. So, that was more their decision internally, but I appreciate the care they have for me, and I'll see if they were me.
You say it was only a month, but how much did it feel like longer?
It was so long, dude. For like half a year. I felt like that all-star break already. Yeah, it felt long. It felt like a long time, but a week would feel like a long time too. Missing a day would feel like a long time. So, yeah, I'm just excited to be back.
From your understanding, since there wasn't this traumatic event, right? Like your last game, you're running all over the field. From your understanding, it took this long. Was it to make sure it doesn't come back? Is it?
Well, it kind of it didn't go away. It was tough to stretch and tough to kind of get a range of motion back. But over time, just gradually got better. Over time, it gradually got a little worse. So, I've done everything I can, exercises, everything possible to try and get healthy and make sure it's strong for the rest of the year.
You obviously weren't the only one on the IL. Now everyone's kind of coming back. Mm-hmm. What do you make of the way it was played in your absence and their absence and what they've done?
I told you guys at the beginning of the year that it doesn't matter who's in the clubhouse. Some dogs in here always. It doesn't matter who's playing, who's on the field. We're going to play our ass off and try to win baseball games. That's what they've been doing. So I'm excited to just join in and keep going.
Where does that come from? Because, in theory, it does matter.
Trust. It's a whole organization, not just one person. So it's trust. I trust them. They trust me to go and get healthy. I trust them to keep playing the way they've been playing and play hard every day. So just trust everywhere.
Jackson Merrill. In his own words, sounding a lot like Jackson Merrill.
He is a caged lion that is ready to.
It's been uncaged.
Just pounce. He absolutely hated missing any time. You hear him there? He goes, if I could have played the rest of the season injured, I would have. This guy lives and breathes and bleeds baseball. And they had to essentially hold him back from himself type of thing because he would have easily played the entire year with a bum hammy.
Yeah, 3 hammies in 4 years probably was part of it. The lineup is out, and it does look a lot better when you have Luis Arise and Jackson Merrill. So Toddy will lead off. Arise hits second. Manny Machado bats third. Jackson Merrill cleanup batter. Xander Bogaerts, again, he's been hot. He'll bat fifth. The DH is Gavin Sheets. Jason Hayward's in left. Elias Diaz is the catcher. Tyler Wade plays second tonight for the Padres, who will pitch Michael King, and it just looks a lot better when you have basically the full complement of your lineup outside of Jake Cronenworth, as we've been talking about. We'll see if that carries over here tonight. Is it going to be listen, Jackson Merrill's first ever game in the Bronx against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium? We'll see. I'm excited to see it. He's in the field. He's in center. If there was any speculation, will he play in the field because of the wet grass or because of the rainy conditions? Would they DH him tonight? No. Like you said, he's been caged. Now he's been uncaged, and we'll see what he looks like tonight for the Padres.
And when Xander's playing the way he's playing, it looks so much better when Xander's hitting fifth. When he's actually driving in runs and having an impact at the plate and not being a net negative, him hitting fifth, it looks better. And then you have Gavin Sheets now moving down the lineup to hit sixth instead of cleanup or second, which he was hitting when guys were out. The lineup looks much better. And then, of course, when Jake gets back, you'll stick Jake in probably the sixth hole, and then Gavin Sheets is hitting maybe seventh. I don't know. Like, I don't know what they're going to do when they got Jake back, or they put Jake, fifth and have
Xander sixth,
Merrill move up to third and Manny fourth, but Manny likes to hit in the 3 hole. I don't know. Anyway,
good problems,
very good problems to have. And it with him back in the lineup, Jackson Merrill, it just puts everybody back in their spots, like in their place.
And we don't even know if they necessarily needed it based on the way they were playing. I think they were 15-9 without him. They're 6-0 in their last 6. And now hopefully they continue to do what they've done. Because this will not be easy to do, even with fully healthy play like this. I don't even know if they need to play like this. Maybe to win the division. I mean, winning 2 out of every 3 games, maybe you're going to need to do that to win your division. The only team that's been better is the Dodgers all year. But I mean, you win 2 out of every 3 games, and you will put yourself in a position to win a division for the first time in a long time.
At this moment in time, you're going to need, if you want to win the division,
you might have to win 2 out of every 3 games.
Because the way that the Dodgers and the Giants have been playing, it is all bunched up there at the top of the National League West. Did you know, John, that the Padres are the only team in baseball that have allowed less than 100 runs on the season?
I did not know that, but it makes sense with this pitching staff, which has the best ERA in baseball. They've allowed, how many runs have they allowed?
They've allowed 98.
How much? You think they'll stay under 100 all year?
If they did, they're winning the World Series.
It would be a record.
And they're also winning every single
game, probably, unless they lose 1-0 in one of them.
Right.
How many runs have they scored? So what's their run differential?
Ooh, a run differential plus 39. They scored 130.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
In a fifth of a season.
Now, when you look at, as far as runs scored goes, they aren't close to like the best in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But still, you don't have to be the best in baseball when you're not allowing any runs.
Exactly.
It's like a yin and yang here.
I mean, I'd prefer the pitching. We always talk about this because in the postseason, are you going to rely on your bats every game? It's so hard to do that. It's hard to rely on your bats every game in the postseason. What you can rely upon is your pitching. And their pitching has been awesome. Not just their bullpen. Like the rotation. Nick Pivetta yesterday. Michael King today. Those pitchers have been great to start the year.
Like, think about this. In the National League, I won't look at the American League. Just in the National League, there are only, John, 2 teams that have scored less runs than the Padres.
There are only 2 teams that have scored less runs.
Yep.
Well, the Padres have also played probably the fewest games in the National League, would be my guess, because they're off every day.
Well, the Padres are 23-11.
But their teams have played more than 34 games.
Phillies played 34. They're 19-15.
All right, but how many games have the Giants played?
Giants have played 2 more games.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a factor.
But the only 2 teams in the National League that have scored less runs than the Padres.
Okay.
You could probably guess.
The Marlins and the Rockies.
No, Rockies and the Pirates.
Okay. Rockies and the Pirates. Yeah.
Every team in the National League East, every team besides the Pirates in the National League Central, and every team in the National League West besides the Rockies have outscored the Padres this season. But like I just said, when you are not giving up any runs, you don't need to score 7 runs a game or 5 runs a game or 6 runs. Or, you need to put up 3 most nights. Your pitch is going to take care of the job.
And maybe it speaks to some of the injuries they've overcome. Like they haven't had a rise all year and they haven't had Jackson Merrill for the last 24 games. Maybe this offense gets better now that they're both back. All right, we're going to hear from Michael King on the other side, and he references convincing the Yankees to make him a starter. He's turned into one of the best starters in the National League. He's going up against his former team at Yankee Stadium for a first time here tonight. So we'll do that coming up on the other side. Plus, Scott Miller has written a new book on the importance of Major League Baseball managers, and he will join us coming up at 3:30 also to preview Game 2 of the series between the Padres and the Yankees. Hour 2 of John and Jim. That comes your way next.
All right, this update's brought to you by the San Diego International Airport. It is official. Jackson Merrill has been reinstated to the Padres. Luis Campusano has been sent down in the corresponding move. And Jackson Merrill is back in the lineup today for the Padres, hitting cleanup and playing center field. 4:05 first pitch. Michael King back on the mound for the Padres, back in Yankee Stadium for the first time since the trade. In NBA playoff action tonight, Pacers Cavs game 2 in Cleveland. That tips off at 4 p.m. Pacers have a 1-0 lead in that series. And then Warriors T-Wolves game 1, that tips off tonight at 6:30 in Minnesota. San Diego International Airport is getting an upgrade. The new Terminal 1 opens this fall. Lots of elbow room, faster security lines, and more dining and shopping options are on their way. Check out All the upgrades at newt1.com.
It's never easy, is it? A late start and 2 ejections can't slow the Padres in the Big Apple. A 43 victory and a 6-game win streak. The series continues today in the Bronx. We'll keep you updated after it starts. Now, it's time for John and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 2, John and Jim. Scott Miller, great baseball writer, will join us at 3:30. He has written a new book. It's coming out next week about the importance of baseball managers. We saw it firsthand last night with Mike Shildt rallying on his team in the 8th inning. They win it 4-3. They've won 6 straight. So we're covering the story that Jackson Merrill is back. He's been activated. Luis Campusano's been sent down. He's in the lineup, pull back cleanup. And Michael King returns to New York tonight, Jim. And we just had Kyle Glaser on the show. He said, against your former team, you want to give even a little more. And he's already been so good as a Padres starter the last 2 years. So we'll see if King can win the series for the Padres tonight.
There was an interesting story he told to Dallas Braden. We're going to hear it in a bit. Yeah. And, without what Michael King says here, the trade to the Padres probably doesn't ever happen. So this is Michael King talking to Dallas Braden on how he became a starter for the Yankees.
The bullpen life is a different breed. And then I talked to Booney going into spring training of 23, and I said, you got to give me, I'm a starter. That's why you're allowing me to flip a lineup, because I have a starter's arsenal. And his first line to me was, you're too valuable in the bullpen. And I said, if you put Garrett Cole in the bullpen, he'd be too valuable in the bullpen. And because he's too valuable in the bullpen, he's a starter. So I was well played. Well played. And then, unfortunately, we had some injuries. And I went up to Booney, and I'm like, this is it, dude. And if I struggle a little bit, and I know I'm a reliever, then great, I'm a reliever. But this is the time for me to go. And I ended up having a good, 8 or 9 starts to end the year and built up to
outstanding. An outstanding run, my friend.
Thank you. And then I told them, I was like, the only way you guys got Soto is because I was built up as a starter. The Padres aren't trading for a middle reliever, So
a little bit of a you're welcome.
Yeah, it all works out.
I love that.
So that is an interesting story there, that if Michael King never goes to Aaron Boone and says, make me a starter, and kind of puts his foot down there, they maybe never trade for Juan Soto, because like you said there, Padres aren't trading for a middle reliever. They want a starter back for Juan Soto. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
It's really interesting. And you kind of wonder, what teams look like when things don't happen. And you'll never know. If the Padres don't trade Soto to the Yankees, does he go elsewhere, or what does that trade look like? I mean, let's be clear. When they made that trade, there was a lot of skepticism, right? There was a lot of skepticism. But Michael King has lived up to complete billing. Remember, the Yankees were selling him as if he's this top flight starter. We're like, well, he's done it for half a year. Mm-hmm. Is he really going to be a top flight starter? He's going to earn himself $150 million plus.
Yeah.
Based on what he's done in a Padres uniform the last 2 years.
Now, the way you make the Juan Soto trade really impactful, it's already been impactful for your team. Mm-hmm. Michael King has been amazing for the last year plus.
Yeah.
But how you make it really stick and become this, you'll never forget this trade ever in your life as a Padres fan, is by extending him. You let him walk here. It's kind of the same feeling that's going on in New York right now with Juan Soto. Yeah, they went to the World Series last year, but he was a mercenary, a hired gun, and they didn't keep him. The trade would have stuck more if they ended up re-signing him. Then you have him for the remainder of his career, and maybe they do get 1 or 2 World Series. Then you look back in 15 years and you go, that trade they made with the Padres for Michael King, okay, that was a bummer that they traded Michael King, but guess what? We got Juan Soto. We got 2 World Series, 10 years. But that's how you make this stick here, is you got to re-sign Michael King.
Yeah, easier said than done. I mean, I think I feel better about it today than I would have felt in the offseason with all the instability with ownership. But Nick Pivetta, that deal made me feel better. And then Jackson Merrill's extension made me feel a little bit better. But, I mean, that's the true barometer here of this ownership group, because that's probably going to be the costliest of the moves for John Seidler in that group, right? I mean, now you paid Merrill $135, but when you do the math on 9 years, it's nowhere near the money you're going to pay Michael King per year. Nowhere near it. And I don't know what he's going to get. They did avoid arbitration. Remember, there was some arbitration talk in the offseason. They avoided that. It's technically a 2-year deal, but it's not.
Right.
Because of the
Like
mutual
fake.
option, which hasn't been picked up in like 10 years in major leagues by anyone. So, I mean, I'm fascinated by that. But here's the thing. We know they've got 2025, and maybe that's enough to do everything that we hope that they can do. Maybe they take care of everything in 2025. We'll worry about 2026 at some point, but hopefully 2025 is special because of Michael King.
Another way that this trade in 15 years could be viewed as like, hey, remember that trade for Michael King? Like, oh, yeah, we traded away Juan Soto, but we got Michael King. As if they, like you said, have a special year and they win a World Series. They win a World Series this year, then it's already become one of the best trades in Padres history if Michael King is a big part of it.
Yeah, even if he doesn't return, of course, at that point, now, of course, you'd want him back if you actually won a World Series, but that's true first world problem.
Right.
When you're 60 years into a franchise, essentially, and you haven't won a World Series and you haven't been to one since 1998, whatever you can do to get one. And by the way, the other side, if that happened to happen, what you just said, if they happen to earn their first ever World Series this year, this would never be a teardown here. It might not look the same on the other side. There are no teardowns here. Like, you don't have Toddy and Machado and Musgrove and Darvish. Even if you lost King, there is no world where they were to get to a World Series or win a World Series and in San Diego tear it down. None. So I have zero reservations about that. And I can't guarantee Michael King would be back, but I can guarantee to you they would try to be competitive again if and when they win their first World Series, if it's at some point this decade. That's just how they've treated this decade. They don't punt on anything over the last handful of years.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Also, do you think Toronto Raptors fans are like, man,
I would trade in that 19 season for another playoff run.
All right, yeah, I would trade in that 19 NBA championship for 10 years of Kawhi. Like, no, he was a hired gun. He was never going to resign there. You got the best possible outcome, and he was only there a year, but guess what? That will be remembered in Toronto Raptors history as the greatest trade in Toronto Raptor history.
The one difference I would say about Soto and Kawhi, well, Soto got to World Series, didn't win. Kawhi, of course, won an NBA title. The difference I would say here with King is, to me, it's not as hired gun-like when you get 2 years.
Right, yeah.
2 full years in the big leagues is like, that's not no time. In professional sports now with free agency, there's so much movement that I feel like if you get 2 full years, I mean, shoot, Soto was only here. He was like a hired gun. He wasn't even here 2 years.
Well, I wasn't saying Michael King's a hired gun.
I know. I'm just saying in general, like, Soto wasn't even here 2 years. I'm just thinking in general. But you're right. I mean, a 1 year or a rental is more of a hired gun.
And truthfully, if you signed Michael King to a long-term contract, I mean, there could be a chance. Now they'd have to win the World Series, but if the Padres won the World Series, say they signed Michael King to a 5-year contract extension, and either they win the World Series this year or within the next 5 years, right? Then no question about it, the Juan Soto trade, the Padres won.
Oh, no doubt.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Now, at this moment in time, it's semantics, but at the same time, Yankees got the World Series last year off that Juan Soto trade. They don't get there without Juan Soto.
No way. It had a huge year.
Now, Michael King is a huge part of the Padres, but they need to make a deep run and get to a World Series. And you feel like if you can do that, if you can accomplish that with Michael King on this roster, hell, if you even win one with him on this roster, and he would be a big part of it too, by the way. It's not like he's going to be on the sidelines.
Be a massive part of it.
He'll be pitching like the opener or Game 7 for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, if they could pull that off, then going back and looking at it, I have a tweet out there. Easily will put that thing on Old Takes Exposed.
Oh, you have every tweet. You're like there's some people where they have a tweet for everything that's ever happened in the history of the world.
I have to go back.
You're one of those people where like you could find anything that's going to either support or completely like negate your argument.
So I was so frustrated.
You're like, this
night.
is the worst trade in baseball history.
And why didn't say that?
I would I could do advanced search. I'm going to find that the day of the trade and find your tweets.
Do it. I know.
We'll read them on air.
I know what I said. I said, LOL, I can't believe the Padres just traded a future Hall of Famer for a starting pitcher, a backup catcher, and a bunch of prospects.
I can't believe the Padres, if you could rephrase it, I can't believe the Padres traded a future Hall of Famer for a future Hall of Famer.
Well, now, I mean, depending on Michael King, you got to pitch longer than a couple of years.
But Michael King as a Padre Michael King as a Padre. Where are his numbers? They're good.
The internet.
They are, but I'm just trying to find his numbers specifically as a Padre.
Just with the Padres?
He has a 2.8 in 38 games, 17-10 with a 2.80 ERA. That's damn good.
How many innings pitched? Well over 200.
He has thrown 212 innings in a Padres uniform and is about to turn 30 later this month and is about to be very rich based on this free agency coming up. And hopefully that's based on what he does for the rest of the year.
I mean, he is on pace and on track here to make his first All-Star appearance this year,
right?
As a starter, to get a fat contract at the end of the year. Hell, who knows? Get some Cy Young votes as well. He got some Cy Young votes last year,
right?
But yeah, dating back to a couple years ago, that conversation we just heard there. If he never went up to Booney and was like, "Make me a starter,"
maybe none of this ever happens the way in which it's happened.
Yeah.
It's funny how the world works. And in 7 starts this year, he's 4-1 with a 2.09. He's back at Yankee Stadium for the first time since the trade. He was the one that was outspoken when the Padres made that trade and said, we won the trade.
He
the
did.
Padres won this trade. He said, I'm going to throw 180 innings as a full-time starter in 2024. Guess what? He threw 180 with the postseason.
Yep.
173 2/3 in the regular season. Then made multiple starts in the postseason, went over 180 innings. First year in the big leagues as a full-time starter.
And had one of the best playoff performances in franchise history
against Atlanta.
12 strikeouts.
Yeah, I like to say 14.
I know. For some reason, I keep thinking 14, but it's 12.
Right.
12 strikeouts, 7 shutout innings, dominant. It was incredible to watch that performance. I mean, some of his pitches, like you say, guys unhittable. Literally, like wiffle ball stuff he's throwing up there. Like, there's no chance. They have no chance, and they didn't have a chance.
All right, Scott Miller's going to join us coming up at 3:30. He's a contributor for the New York Times. He also has a new book that's coming out later this month, Why Baseball Managers Matter. So we'll get into the Padres and the Yankees with Scott Miller coming up in about 15 minutes. On the other side, who is number one in NL MVP power rankings?
Oh, more power rankings.
MVP power rankings.
Oh, individual power rankings.
On the 6th day of May. What everyone's talking about. That's next. John and Jim. All right, coming up at 3:30, Scott Miller, New York Times contributor. He's got a new book about baseball managers and why they matter, coming out next week. And that's pretty timely with Mike Shildt doing what he's done as Padres manager, including last night. Padres have won 6 straight. And again, he will join us coming up at 3:30. All right, what do you have? MLB.com's NL MVP rankings that you wanted to share with our listeners. This is very exciting stuff.
Oh, it really is. I know people love to hear about power rankings. I know people like to talk about power rankings and just, read them verbatim off the website. But
so we should do that.
So let's do it. So according to MLB.com, MVP power rankings chosen by a panel of MLB.com experts. 5. Number 5, Corbin Carroll.
All right.
Number 4, Kyle Tucker.
Okay.
Number 3, Shohei Ohtani.
Seems low.
Number 2,
Pete Alonso,
which means number 1 is Fernando Tatis Jr.
All right. So the early experts say that Tatis is out in front.
Yes.
Now he's hit listed his last 2 games for the first time this year.
Yeah, if you say this in the third, then
bye-bye.
Cut him.
Bye-bye MVP power rankings for Toddy. But he's got his 3 whatever average. What is it? 315, 317, near 1,000 OPS. Plays for as good of a team as there is right now in the National League, other than the Dodgers, but similar record. So yeah, I think he has earned that based on the team's play and his play a month into the year.
Do you want me to read this paragraph verbatim on the radio?
Yeah.
On the air?
What is it? There's a paragraph about his play?
There is.
Yeah, please.
Let me just read this word for word.
Yeah, do that.
Tatis is back to hitting like a superstar with his 328 batting average through Sunday, pacing all NL outfielders, and his OPS is 973, ranking 3rd among National League players. He has 8 homers and 8 stolen bases entering Monday, putting him on pace for his first 40-40 season. Tatis is already at a 2.1 WAR, according to Fangraphs, and he's on pace to finish with a 10.6 WAR on the season.
Wow. I wish I would have thought of something like that. So
was that written by ChatGPT?
It wasn't terrible by the experts. So how many steals does he have now?
Close to 10, right?
He has 8.
Okay.
So he's got 8 homers, 8 steals. Now I was on the 40 homer bandwagon with Toddy. I still think it's possible because he can hit him in like a barrage. He can hit 2 in a game. He could hit 4 in a week, right? It's just been a really productive first 30-something games. The most impactful thing for me is he's played every game but one, right? He missed that one game. I forget the circumstance. Shoulder in Sacramento.
Yeah, it's an aggravated shoulder.
Left a game, missed the day game. But then the other day in Pittsburgh, he gets hit on the arm. His arm has this huge welt, and he returns the next day, and then he has that huge moment that we talked about yesterday late in that game. So I think it's deserved, Jim. I mean, based on what he's done to this point, it's a long way to go, right? You can't count out players like Shohei Ohtani. And I think if Tatis, this is the point I've been trying to make all year. If Tatis plays, 156 plus, which is something he's never done, but is on pace to do this year, then he should be in the conversation just based on the way he puts up numbers. So he's got to play 155 plus games. I think if he does it for the first time in his career, he'll be a top 2 candidate for MVP.
The longer we continue to discuss his chances of winning his first MVP, that to me just signals that the Padres will be playing good baseball as long as we're discussing that. Because if the Padres fall off here, it's going to matter. Like, I know the stats are the stats, and you've had MVPs on teams that aren't good before, but helping your team win has to matter some. Like, so continuing to see stuff like this about Tatis and talking about Tatis and staying healthy and putting up MVP type of numbers, that to me just says the Padres are continuing to play good baseball.
Yeah, completely. I'm with you. I mean, I'd be surprised if the Padres really fell off to where it would impact his MVP status. But to your point, like if you're Shohei Ohtani and you're on a team that wins a division by 10 games, which is something that's possible. We don't know if it'll happen or not. But if you have Ohtani and he puts up numbers, it does not have to be anything near 50-50.
if he hits 40 home runs and steals 38 bases, and they win the division by 10 plus games, that's going to be a pretty sizable part of his candidacy. The fact that he's on another really good team again, and that could be a differentiator between Ohtani and Tatis. I just hope that the Padres don't fall off, and I don't expect them to fall off. I'm not saying I expect them to win the division. I just don't expect them to fall off and all of a sudden go 79-83.
Look,
which they did in 2021, by the way.
Yeah, they did.
They started just like this.
They started just like this. Look, do I want Tatis to win MVP? Absolutely, I do.
Right.
But more importantly, he puts up those numbers. Guess what he's doing? He's helping the team win. And now he did do that in 2021, but he also missed time and whatnot and a bunch of different injuries.
Right.
So yeah, things could absolutely change just because they're 23-11 right now. Doesn't guarantee jack you know what. Doesn't.
Right.
Doesn't guarantee them they're going to make the postseason. Doesn't guarantee that Tatis is going to win an MVP. Doesn't guarantee anything.
You're right.
They're playing really good baseball right now. Stay in the moment.
I'm in the moment right now.
But it's really also hard to think if Tatis puts up MVP-like numbers, which he's pacing for, it's hard to envision the Padres falling off. I just don't see that with a Mike Shildt-led baseball team. The only thing that would turn that into reality is if they just deal with a bunch of injuries like they dealt with, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, there's one thing to not play this clip, and there's another thing to fall off. Fall off is like 2021.
Right.
When you fall off a cliff. To play 550 baseball from here on out after playing 680 baseball, yeah, that's definitely a possibility. But to start like this at 23-11 and then all of a sudden go 11-23 over the next 34 games, I find that to be unlikely, but we'll see because it is a long year. All right, here's what I want to do. On the other side, we're going to catch up with a great baseball writer, Scott Miller with the New York Times. He's written about the importance of baseball managers. He's got a new book that's coming out next week. We'll talk to Scott about the Padres' great start to the year, about last night as well with Mike Shildt. Scott Miller back with us on John and Jim. Coming up next, John and Jim.
This update's been brought to you by Mattress Firm. We'll start with the Padres. Jackson Merrill is officially back. He has been reinstated. Luis Campusano has been optioned down to the minors. The lineup is out today, and Jackson Merrill is in it in center field, hitting cleanup for the Padres. 4:05 first pitch, Yankees and Pods at Yankee Stadium. Michael King makes his return to Yankee Stadium. He'll be on the mound tonight for the Padres. And NBA playoff action tonight. Pacers Cavs game 2 in Cleveland tips off at 4 p.m. And then Warriors T-Wolves game 1 tips off at 6:30 in Minnesota. Don't postpone better sleep. Shop Mattress Firm's Memorial Day sale now. Upgrade to a premium bed from a curated selection and take your rest to the next level. Don't miss out. Visit Mattress Firm today. Get matched. Sleep at night.
I love the timing on this. So Scott Miller back with us, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Of course, New York Times contributor, and has a new book coming out a week from today. Skipper is the title. Why Baseball Managers Matter and Always Will. And then I go to last night, Scott, and we saw what played out there. Now, it doesn't always work like that. Mike Shildt gets ejected. Padres rally and win. First of all, we're looking forward to the book. And secondly, how about the job that Mike Shildt has done here with the Padres once again to start 2025? And hope you're doing well. And thanks for hopping on.
Nice to be with you guys. And yes, Mike Shildt's done a wonderful job last year and this year. And yeah, that game last night in a microcosm, man. And that, when Tatis gets called out on strikes, gets ejected, Shildt gets ejected, and then the Padres score 4 runs to beat the Yankees. So you can't script it like that. That's why we keep watching. You never know what's going to happen, what's up around the next corner. And as far as that goes, the Padres, these guys love playing for Shildt. He has, you see continually quotes like he has our back. We know he's behind us. He supports us, all that stuff. And that kind of goes into what is important about a modern manager. You mentioned the book I have coming out next week, and thank you. Very excited about that. And managers always will matter. It's just the job Mike Shildt's doing today. It's a different job than the job Bruce Bochy was doing in 1996 or that Preston Gomez was doing back in 1970. The job has changed, but it's still very, very important.
In your opinion, what is the hardest part about being a manager in today's game?
I think it's you're getting pulled in so many different directions. Specifically, baseball operations, analytics in every organization now has things they want you to do. They have instructions for you. They have asks for you, and that's on one side. And then on the other side are the players, and the manager has to be loyal to the players. The manager has to be honest with the players. He has to have great communication with the players. A lot of what the manager does now, and I don't mean this is his only job, but when I say Mike Shildt's job is different than what Bruce Bochy did in 1996, is a lot of it now is selling. The front baseball ops wants you to do this or that, or platoon the righty and the lefty. And as a manager, you've got to sometimes, not always, but sometimes sell the plan, the desires of baseball ops to the players in a way that they buy it, that they don't lose confidence, that they're behind it, they support it. And, in the book, Bruce Bochy, as many, many others, I probably talked to 200 people for this book, managers, players, executives, current, former. And as Bruce Bochy told me, in the book, he said it used to be when I first started managing, it used to be just tell the player what to do. Now, you may tell the player what to do, but it's going to require an explanation. Today's players, the manager, it's like, well, I want you to do this, and this is why. Because unlike players of a previous generation or two ago, they don't just blindly listen to leaders anymore. They want to know the ins and outs and the wherefores and the whys. And, that's probably, to me, that's the hardest part, to answer your question, of a manager's job, is is having his players back and doing what's best for the players, but also threading that needle where when analytics wants you to do some things, selling it to the players.
Great insight. Scott Miller, New York Times contributor. Again, next week, a brand new book, Skipper, Why Baseball Managers Matter and Always Will. You look at the job that we talked about just a few minutes ago of Mike Shildt. I think they're 66-30, the Padres, in their last 96 regular season games going back to the midway point last year when they were 50-50. But this year's team, heading into this game 2 tonight against the Yankees, 23-11 overall, overcoming injuries. Didn't have Luis Ariz, haven't had Jackson Merrill for the better part of the season. What's impressed you the most about this Padres start?
Yeah, what you just said, because that is so not easy. I mean, you think back to when Jay Cronenworth took the fastball to the ribs in Wrigley Field several weeks ago and landed on the injured list. And then Jackson Merrill goes down, and then Ariz does. With each of those, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a significant injury. That's a big blow. And for the team to have continued to play the way it has and not lose any ground while these guys are out. You know, I mean, they didn't, you know, the Padres, they haven't only just held serve, but they've gained a few paces while these guys are out. And that's really impressive. And, you know, it certainly gives you thought that down the road this season, you know, this is going to be a really, really formidable team.
When you look at all, you know, off-season moves, the Padres didn't make many until like the very end, and it was Nick Pivetta, kind of a wonky deal. But hey, the fact of the matter is they got Nick Pivetta for at least 2 years. I mean, I can make an argument here, Scott, that Nick Pivetta has been the best offseason signing potentially, you know, in baseball, at least from the pitching standpoint. What would you say on that?
No, I agree. You're right. You absolutely can make that argument. And, you know, I'd say, you know, credit to Nick Pivetta, credit to Mike Shildt, Ruben Niebla, credit to the team for the way he's been able to come in and they've been able to rally around him. But also credit to A.J. Preller. I mean, Preller, you know, you think back over the last couple of years, I mean, you know, the signing of Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha really was terrific. And now Pivetta. Preller's been able to kind of wait late into the winter and not fork over the huge money that it takes to get a guy like Garrett Cole or some of those big marquee names. But he's been able to wait and identify guys who are more affordable, but veteran guys who are going to throw innings, who are going to come in and lead the staff, and they're mature enough to, you know, lead the younger pitchers. And Pavetta's the latest example of that.
Scott Miller with us right now. John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. What do you make of, you know, Michael King? You think about this trade a year ago. Juan Soto,
yep,
obviously the headliner, you know, the return we didn't really know at the time. And now Michael King's doing what he's doing. Now he's pitching tonight in the Bronx against the Yankees. I guess it's a two-part question. I mean, what do you make of the emergence, the full emergence of Michael King in the National League in a Padres uniform? And can the Padres keep him based on the way he's pitched here these 2 years?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. One thing, the Yankees would love to have him back. You know, they're pitching. They can use some guys like Michael King, and they let him go. You know, it's a little bit like we just talked about with Pivetta. It's apples and oranges in that it's a free agent versus a guy you acquired by trade. But it's similar in that it goes to AJ and his staff identifying the correct pitchers to bring in here. And that is not easy. So, you know, the baseball operations staff under Preller and his crew, you know, huge kudos. And Michael King he's, you know, really blossomed, and it's been fun to watch. And I don't see any reason why he can't keep getting better and better. The affordability, that's a good question. You know, when the, you know, he's going to get more and more expensive. So, you know, I don't know if they can keep him long-term or not. Let's just say another reason why they need to win this year and take advantage of this here is that's one of many reasons. You know, you don't get a crew like this together very often. And when you do, you don't want to blow the opportunity.
Absolutely. Jackson Merrill, he's returning tonight for the Padres. He's only played in 10 games this year, but in those 10 games, he was fantastic. Got the big contract extension. What did you make of the contract extension for Jackson that he got about a month ago?
Yeah, I mean, really good, not just for him, but, you know, for the team. I mean, you look around and, I mean, it was, you know, I don't want to say a bargain because, you know, I mean, it's certainly not cheap, and it's going to set Jackson and his family up for life. And, you know, it's a substantial commitment from the Padres, but relatively speaking, compared to other young players who are signing deals, like, you know, whether it's Bobby Witt Jr. in Kansas City or whomever, you know, Merrill, he didn't fight and, you know, kick and scream for the last penny. I mean, he gave up some dollars, and that shows me, again, a lot about Jackson Merrill. I've been impressed from day one with this kid, not just his skills on the field, but I think part of the reason he's blossomed so much is, you know, it's a cliche, but he's that old school, just a baseball player. You know, he doesn't get caught up in personal branding and some of the sidelight stuff that's available to these guys. He just wants to win. He wants to play, loves playing. And, you know, every time you hear him interviewed, even after he does something big, he just deflects the attention back to his teammates and the team instead of himself. And I think if you're going to bet long-term, as the Padres have with that contract on a young player, I think Jackson Merrill's a pretty good bet.
Scott, appreciate the insight. Where can our listeners get this book? Skipper, Why Baseball Managers Matter and Always Will, in parentheses. This is coming out next week, right? A week from today, May 13th. How can our listeners...
1 week from today.
Yeah, how can we get it?
Yeah, it should be available, as they say, wherever books are sold. 1 week from today, it ought to be on the shelves of your local Barnes & Noble, hopefully some independent bookstores. Failing that, there's always the Amazon or Target or Barnes & Noble websites. Is available through all of that. And, you know, you can even order it today, pre-order. It's available for pre-order on Amazon. And that just means if you order it, it'll be delivered to you on May 13th, next Tuesday, when it publishes.
Well, I'm expecting the cover to be Mike Shildt throwing his glasses from last night. Yes. I'm sure you can make that change. Scott, always
what
appreciate
a great
it.
Scene that was.
Oh, man.
Thanks, guys.
I was entertaining. Scott Miller, thank you, my friend. All right. Scott with the New York Times, again, has that new book that's coming out a week from today. Speaking of Mike Shildt, we're going to hear from him, his pregame media scrum. We'll hear from Mike Shildt on the other side. The wrap is coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. You also have a chance to win a pair of tickets to see both Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan in 9 days at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on May 15th. We'll hear from Mike Shildt. Coming up next, John and Jim.
All right, tomorrow at 6 on San Diego Sports 760, it's SDFC Midweek Live. You're going to hear from head coach Mikey Varas, as well as interviews with players and coaches. Find out the latest club and MLS information. This is hosted by Darren Smith. SDFC Midweek Live every Wednesday at 6 on your home for SDFC San Diego Sports 760. We've got those Bob Dylan, Willie Nelson tickets to give away in the 4 o'clock hour. Padres Yankees will play in about 20 or 30 minutes. And Mike Shildt, Jim, has spoken with the media. Did you realize that?
Wait,
is that
hold
incredible?
On. Does he speak to the media every day?
Not every day. Not if the Padres are off or if it's like November 28th. But most days that the Padres play, he will speak to the media both before and after the game.
Wow.
You know what he was asked about today?
The game today or Jackson Merrill?
He was asked, how does it feel to have Jackson Merrill back? Take a listen.
Man, it feels good. Listen, a lot of guys did a lot of good work in his stead. Wadey was fantastic. Shows he can more than go do it when we need him to do it. And, kept it right there for us. Locke getting back, doing a good job. But, Jackson's a really, really special player that we missed quite a bit, both on the field, off the field. And we're excited to have him back.
Yeah, you mentioned it on the field is obvious, but off the field, I think sometimes maybe people don't understand just what kind of an energy that he brings into the clubhouse.
Yeah, it's a good point, Stan. He's, we got a passionate group that loves to play, that loves playing together. We got a good energy in the club, a lot of good energy guys. But Jackson's got that energy, that competitive fire, that burning desire to compete, and that has residual value, and he brings it every day.
Speaking of the energy and the competing, obviously you expect that out of your team every day, and these guys show up and play hard every single day. But if you have the game last night, given all the circumstances that were going on, are there times where even you're impressed or appreciative of what these guys are doing?
Yeah, they don't surprise me anymore, but I don't want to take it for granted either. Last night could have been an easy day for anybody. You're going to go one or two ways. You get rain all day, we're not going to play. You show up at the ballpark, we are going to play, we're not going to play. The others are going to play, rain delay, play, get after it, rain delay. How you're going to come back from it. And one of the things I appreciated about a lot of yesterday, and so like I said, there's one or two ways. Our way is we're going to get after it. We're going to compete, and we're going to be ready for any and everything. And Nick Pavetta set the tone for that. I got a lot of rightful text messages about Nick from people I respect, people who've won a lot this game. They just were really appreciative and I don't know the right exact word, but respectful of how he competed yesterday. And look, people say, "Oh, it's a big league, go out and compete." There's still humanness to it, right? And the weather conditions weren't great. And, especially the pitcher, as getting up, coming back down. Wet ball, cold, no complaints, great body language, competitive spirit, after the rain delay. Just the fact that right when 9-10 start, our whole dugout's in here. Nick's playing catch, his energy's great. Go back out in a big moment still. First and second, 2 outs. Boom, goes out and finishes the 5th inning. And that's what winning teams do. They get the most out of their ability regardless of circumstances. And it was on display last night.
Yeah. Like a big going tonight, obviously there should be some emotion for him returning to the Yankee Stadium, but it seems like he's had to get to channel that into being a positive for him, maybe enjoying the moment, but also staying focused on what he needs to get done.
Yeah, I think Michael's going to do just that. He's going to appreciate the fact that he came up through the system and pitched here, and it's hard to leave a place, but it's also an opportunity when you come back. And I know he's looking forward to that opportunity. He got several guys with Wadey and Locke that played here. Vasquez is not going to pitch, but Michael will be more than up for the opportunity tonight.
How's Jake doing?
Jake's doing really well. He's traveled. He's going to be in El Paso and play tonight, and likely DH tomorrow. And then there'll be evaluation to be ready for Colorado.
What is Darvish doing right now?
He's in Arizona, and he's getting ready for live at bats.
Okay. Do you know when that would be?
I'll let you know. It's soon.
with Jackson getting the scheduled day off yesterday, is he can continue to have a couple of those going forward, or do you expect him to play?
I expect. I mean, the expectation is when they're back, they're back. I do think we'll be smart about, we have a day off 2 days from now, so that's part of the equation to his scheduling is to get him to work, get him here, get him the day off, recovery day from playing, 2 days, and then day off. And then after that, we'll just be mindful of taking care of him the best we can. But do appreciate and expect the fact he's an everyday player.
Shildt is one of a kind.
He's the best. I'm going to write a book about Mike Shildt. It's going to be called Mike Shildt.
Shildtisms?
By John Schaefer. No, it's just going to be called Mike Shildt.
Okay.
And I won't interview him, but I will just use quotes from his press conferences. That's the premise for the book.
Just his presser?
Mike Shildt, in his own words, has said a lot of things.
You can make a shirt with all of his quotes on it.
Right, that shirt would be tiny print.
It's a very tiny print because
Right.
there'd be 1,000 different quotes that you're like, there's a Shildtism, there's a Shildtism.
The Shildt era has been a fun one, truthfully.
It's been a little bit of a
Entertaining.
rocky ride at times, but it definitely is always entertaining. Tell you that. It's never not entertaining.
He is just such a character. I'm going to make a book about Jim, and the title is going to be Achoo. And then inside, it'll be 1 page, and it'll say the word sneeze.
It's going to be 70
a bestseller.
It's going to be 7,500 pages, and just you open
Every
up,
sneeze.
just every page it says sneeze on it. Just like in the
Sneeze.
middle, very small font, sneeze.
Achoo.
Achoo.
Sneeze. All right, coming up at 4 p.m., we still have a few minutes here, but coming up at 4 p.m., we will get to the wrap. Also in the 4 o'clock hour, if you miss Kyle Glazer, you'll hear him coming back, Friar Territory podcast, plus Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan tickets. This is for May 15th. We'll give those away. Plus, we're going to get into this NBA Western and Eastern Conference semifinals, where the road teams have started 3-0. Now, can Golden State complete the 4-for-4? It's never been done in NBA history.
Oh, great.
Where in game ones, 4 road teams all win in the semifinal round. That's what Steph is trying to do tonight. He's trying to put another chapter in his book.
Yeah.
As one of the top 13 players ever.
Whoa. What?
Can he be
13?
the player to complete the 4-for-4 conference semi road win game 1 streak?
Did you say top 13?
Let me ask ChatGPT.
What, too high?
Oh, no, too low. It is funny. I was thinking about this the other day.
Name the top 13 players in NBA history. I'm asking ChatGPT.
Perfect. I love it.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
Right?
Fair.
I'm talking about the entirety of the history of the NBA.
Yes.
Okay.
Give it to me, ChatGPT.
I'm going to preface it. Name the top 13 players in NBA history. Please include the entirety of the history of the NBA.
Okay. Got it.
And I'm going to share the results on the other side. I don't want to tell you right now.
What a
This
tease.
is kind of a big deal. I might also tell her or him, whoever ChatGPT actually is, I understand it's subjective. So, in your opinion.
Okay.
Try your hardest.
Try your hardest
to come up with a list.
You're not.
I would think Steph is in ChatGPT's top 13.
Now you're not putting in there leave Steph off.
Leave Steph Curry off the list. He sucks.
But leave Steph Curry off the list.
No. Steph Curry's great. And maybe he's a top 13 guy.
Tell you what, look, it's going to be extremely difficult.
Take him off that list, to not put him on that list.
For the Warriors to beat the Timberwolves in this series.
Stop. I mean, they're the 6th seed Minnesota Timberwolves. This isn't some once proud franchise.
Oh, here we go again.
I mean, the Warriors are a proud franchise.
Are a once proud franchise.
T-Wolves?
The T-Wolves are a once proud franchise.
Stop.
Even though they've never made an NBA Finals, they're still
Are you sure they never made one?
Not in their history. They made a Western Conference Finals with
who's once prouder?
Kevin Garnett.
Clippers or T-Wolves?
Well, definitely not the Rockies.
All right.
You can't be like Rockies, once proud franchise, but Clippers, T-Wolves? Nah.
On the other side, does ChatGPT consider Steph Curry a top 13 player in the history of the NBA?
What a tease.
Plus the wrap, plus your chance to win Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan tickets. And if you miss Kyle Glazer with us, you'll hear that conversation coming up at 4:30, hour 3. John and Jim next.
Don't miss it.
Stop, sneeze, achoo.
This update's brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, Yankees, moments away from first pitch at Yankee Stadium. Michael King on the mound for the Padres tonight, making his return to Yankee Stadium. And Jackson Merrill is back in the lineup. He's been reinstated from the IL. Luis Campisano has been designated down to the minor leagues. Jackson Merrill hitting cleanup tonight in center field for the Padres. And NBA playoff action happening tonight. Tip-off at 4 p.m. here, moments away from Game 2, Pacers and Cavs in Cleveland. And then Game 1 between the Warriors and T-Wolves tips off at 6:30 in Minnesota. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $250 off your print order. Exclusions do apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends June 14th. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
It's never easy, is it? A late start and 2 ejections can't slow the Padres in the Big Apple. A 43 victory and a 6-game win streak. The series continues today in the Bronx. We'll keep you updated after it starts. Now, it's time for John and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 3. We're giving away Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan tickets for next week. Coming up this hour, we'll keep you updated on Padres Yankees when it does get underway. Jackson Merrill's return to the lineup for San Diego. In addition, we'll get to the wrap. But more importantly, Jim, I asked ChatGPT the best 13 basketball players in the history of the NBA.
Okay, give it to me.
Are you prepared to argue with ChatGPT?
I am, yes.
All right. They consider, they being ChatGPT, the top 4 to be the untouchables.
Oh, okay.
Those players include Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Bill Russell in that order.
Bill Russell, interesting.
Yeah, he's an 11-time champion, 5-time MVP.
Okay.
All right, so your top 4, MJ, LeBron, Kareem, Bill.
Okay.
I didn't really call him Bill, but you get the point.
Yeah.
Now, 5 through 9, they call the demigods.
Oh, the demigods.
They being ChatGPT. Okay.
Okay.
Number 5.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson, 5th best player in the history of the NBA.
Wow. Okay.
Per ChatGPT.
Wow.
I love it. He'll discredit it based on where Steph is. If Steph was number 1, he'd be like, this is the greatest list I've ever seen in my life. Number 6, Larry Bird.
Oh, okay.
Number 7, Tim Duncan. Number 8, Wilt Chamberlain.
Wow.
Number 9, Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, wow.
So Steph doesn't make the demigods list. However, the modern monsters, Steph does appear. 10 through 13, number 10, the 10th best player ever. Number 10. It's the number he wears. Steph Curry. What number does he wear?
He wears number 30.
Steph Curry, number 10. Number 11, Kobe Bryant. Number 12, Akeem Olajuwon. Number 13, Kevin Durant.
Yeah, that list is whack.
What, you don't think Steph's better than Kobe?
I do. No, but where would you? Because I'm not going to argue with you because this, whatever. But where are you like completely like this thing has no relevancy?
Kobe's the top 10 player of all time. Like, no question.
So, okay. Well, he's 11th here, but okay. That's fair.
If you're looking at titles, okay, yeah, Bill Russell should be in there, but come on.
You don't want Bill Russell top 10?
No.
Okay. He didn't score a lot, right?
No, he averaged like 15 points, like 25 rebounds, like something like that.
That's pretty good.
Anyway, I did my own little research, John.
All right, okay, what's your research?
My chat GPT says this when I asked, is Steph Curry a top 10 NBA player of all time?
Well, she says yes, mine.
Well, my chat GPT said, yes, Steph Curry is widely considered a top 10 NBA player of all time by many analysts, fans, and former players. And then it gives reasons why.
Right.
Then it says, while exact rankings vary, Curry is often placed alongside legends like Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, and Kobe. Some might argue for players like Akeem, Shaq, and Tim Duncan in that 8 to 10 range, but Curry's unique impact gives him a strong case. And then it asked me, would you like a comparison between him and another top 10 candidate?
Maybe at some point.
Maybe.
I mean, it's kind of fascinating. By the way, after 13th for me at ChatGPT, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, Dirk, Giannis, Moses Malone, Karl Malone, D. Wade, Barkley, Jokic.
You know what's funny is there are so many arguments all the time on these just awful talking head shows like First Take and First Things First and blah, blah, blah.
This comes up every day.
About the top 10 list of all time. Like, I think Nick Wright has his own section of his YouTube channel of like dedicated top 10 lists for the NBA.
Probably does well.
How many players have played in the NBA in the history of basketball? Thousands and thousands, right?
Yeah.
Ask ChatGPT that. How many players have played all time in NBA
I'll say
history?
roughly.
Yeah.
How many players have played in the NBA all time, roughly?
Yeah.
As of 2024-25, roughly 4,700 to 5,000 players have played at least one game.
Okay.
Let's say 5,000.
5,000.
Top 10 is, like the 0.1.
So we are arguing over like the 0.0001%.
You're right, 100%.
Of NBA players of all time. Dude, imagine playing any sport and at the end of your career, you're viewed as a top 10 player of all time in that sport.
Right. It'd be like if we were remembered as like a top 10 radio show in the history of San Diego Sports 760. Right. That's what you're talking about. That type of reverence, that type of legacy, that type of impact.
Yeah, that's a big impact. A big
pretty
legacy.
big impact.
Like in the history of San Diego Sports 760?
Right.
Yeah.
We're just like a year.
The only one's left. There's no one left.
All right. We'll keep you updated on Padres and Yankees. Why don't you share your top 13 NBA players of all time with us? 70470.
Here we go.
Start it with the word team. I'm kidding. But right now, let's get to this.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
You guys expect Jackson Merrill to look like Jackson Merrill?
He looks like Jackson Merrill. He's wearing the same number that he wears, number 3. I mean, he looks like Jackson Merrill. Doesn't look different.
So you expect him to look like he looks?
Yeah, he's wearing a Padres uniform. Like he looks. If I looked at a picture of Jackson Merrill and I looked on TV, yeah, they look the same. So
Let me ask you this:
he's gonna look. He looks like Jackson Merrill
in his next 10 games. Will he replicate
his first 10 games?
378, 1090 OPS, 3 homers, 10 RBIs.
No, because he's gonna do better than that.
That's tough to replicate. I do think he'll look like Jackson Merrill, but it's tough to have a 1090 OPS.
Just shows how awesome his first 10 games of the season
was. He was awesome, man.
Dude.
Just turned 22. This is the first time he's played in the big leagues as a 22-year-old after missing the last month. I think he's going to look like Jackson Merrill. Next question.
What's your reaction to the Kentucky Derby winner not racing in the Preakness?
Soft.
I think so soft. Now, is it on the horse or is it on the train? Like, how many weeks are between the Derby and the Preakness? Is it 2 or 3? The dude ran a mile.
There is
Maybe
no way in hell I will ever, in my entire career, come on the radio or wherever I'm at and ever criticize
a horse,
an animal.
Well, it's not the animal's decision whether it's going to race.
I know, but I will never be like, I can't believe the horse isn't racing.
Okay, let me ask it this way then, because I agree with it. Obviously, it's a dumb conversation.
Never criticizing an animal.
Should the Triple Crown change its schedule to make sure the Derby winner participates in the Preakness by giving another week? As in, this is 2 weeks between races, and I think they're saying that's like too tight of a window. I don't know if it's ever happened before.
Like, I'm not gonna pretend to know really anything about horse racing, but if changing dates and making the length of time in between races longer, and that would end up giving the horse longer time to recover and have a better lifespan, career, all that stuff, right? Then do it.
Well, does he have a hammy? Like, as in, what's the reason? Like, what?
I don't know,
Someone
dude.
give me the reason. Now, I didn't click on any article. But what is the reason? Someone text us or put it in the chat. 70470, start with team. Why is he skipping the Preakness? Is too good for it?
I don't know. I would be curious to hear from like people that own horses or raise horses, their thoughts on horse racing, because horse racing is demanding on the horse, dude.
Well, no, I get it, but we're doing it already, man.
I
This
know.
guy just won the Kentucky Derby. It's not a conversation about do you like horse racing. I understand what you're saying, but like the dude just won the Derby.
Okay,
and now he's too good for the Preakness. Is he going to show up at the Belmont for number 3?
Do you think is he going to show?
This is like Darnay tweeted or texted us about it. This is kind of like load management-esque.
Isn't it? You can't. If I'm NBC, I'm going crazy here. Who's going to watch the Preakness if the Kentucky Derby winner doesn't participate?
Man,
I can't deal with this.
It's just unacceptable.
Thank you.
All the oats they pay that horse, and he's not going to race.
Do you think the horse is sitting there scrolling his phone, looking through Twitter, looking at all
like
the
his hoof or whatever?
Yeah. He's
Does it
like,
even
man,
work?
they're criticizing me out there. All right, let me go back to eating my
Dude's eating hay.
grass and hay.
He's fine. You're right. Next question.
Which higher seed is most likely to lose its second round series?
Higher
in the
seed?
NBA playoffs.
So
Warriors,
team.
Knicks.
No. Higher seed.
Higher seed.
Team that started with home court advantage.
Correct. Okay. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
They're dealing with injuries, right?
They are. Tonight, Darius Garland and Evan Mobley are out.
And Garland missed game one.
And Hunter is also out. So they're missing 3 key pieces to their lineup. Evan Mobley, Defensive Player of the Year.
That guy's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He's such a good player.
That's where I'm going as far as an upset goes. And just if you look at the overall records for both those teams and the seeding, it's considered a big upset, 4-1. But if you break it down, you look at the last 40 to 45 games of the season, the Pacers and Cavs had almost identical records. So maybe it's not that big of an upset as we think. The Pacers are really good. They're deep. Just because the Cavs had a great regular season record and one of the best in franchise history and then the 1 seed, you should break it down a little bit more and see that the Pacers and Cavs are pretty neck and neck there in the final 40 games of the season.
I think it's a really good point. And what I would say about the NBA postseason is that it's amazing how different it is than the regular season. I don't know if I say that about the NFL. I think the best team in the NFL oftentimes makes the Super Bowl. I think the team with the best regular season record. Oftentimes. Kansas City, Philadelphia. It's happened a lot.
It's happened a lot, but it's also not happened a lot.
But it happens.
It happens, but not at the regularity that you think it is.
Actually, it happens in the NBA more than anywhere else.
Way more in the NBA, because the NBA, you're the best player and the best team, more often than not, over a 7-game series you're winning.
But I was just going to say it's so matchup dependent in the NBA. It's I rattled off 55 wins, but if you can't beat Minnesota, you can't beat Minnesota.
Yes, but also look at the last 10 NBA champions.
They're all really good.
They're
it's
all
never a 37 and 45.
It's never a 6 seed.
True. I guess it's rarely a 6 seed in the NFL too, though, right?
NFL, you have seen
Giants
1 through 4. I mean, it's not like every year. It's they're the best team. Best teams lose all the time in the NFL.
Yeah, I buy it.
Lions were one of the best. Lions were one of the best teams in the NFL last year, and they got smoked by the Washington Commanders.
True.
At home.
So what was my point? I just feel this year the matchup seems to be very I don't know. It's you see a 7 seed, you're typically they have no shot, and then this year's the 7 seed's better than the 2 seed. 6 seed's better than the 3 seed.
Well, it's in the Western Conference. The seedings are fake because 2 through 8
were bottlenecked.
We're all within 2 games of each other.
And Oklahoma City ran away.
Yeah, exactly. Oklahoma City ran away. And kind of in the Eastern Conference, you got Cavs, they ran away with it, but you got the Celtics, and then the Pacers came on strong at the end there. Obviously the Bucks lost, and the Knicks have been good and whatnot, but mostly in the Western Conference. I know that the T-Wolves and the Warriors are going to play tonight, and it's a 6 versus 7, but I'm pretty sure if I look at their records here, Minnesota, they won 49 games this year. Warriors won 48. And when you look at the rest of the Western Conference, the Clippers won 50, Denver won 50, Lakers won 50, Rockets won 52. So you got 52, 50, 50, 50, 49, 48.
Like I was saying. All right, on the other side, we'll get into a wild night last night in the NBA postseason. We'll look ahead to tonight as well. Plus, if you missed Kyle Glazer, Friar Territory podcast, you'll hear from Kyle coming up at 4:30. And we'll give away a pair of tickets to see both Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan May 15th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater right here on John and Jim.
right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. We'll keep you updated on Padres Yankees. If you missed Kyle Glaser, Friar Territory podcast, you'll hear that coming up at 4:30. Jackson Merrill is back, Jim.
Oh, he's back,
If you
all right.
realize that, and he has already doubled. He has ripped a double down the right field line for your Padres. So Jackson Merrill, if there was any question if Jackson Merrill was going to look like Jackson Merrill looks like Jackson Merrill so far.
And right off the rip, his hammy gets tested.
Good point, because he had to leg out a double.
Yep. So his bat still is very good. He's back.
You miss a month.
He's ridiculous.
Nothing changes.
I mean, you just feel so confident with him at the plate.
Right.
Every time I'm like, he's going to do something.
He really is special. He has been to this point. I know it's early in his career. I know he's just turned 22, but man, what we've seen from him has just been, it's been incredible to watch. From switching positions in that spring training 2 years ago to making the impact that he's made, it's just been incredible.
It really has. He does everything that you ask of a baseball player, and especially a star baseball player. He is a star. He is an all-star. He is becoming kind of like, I know they have a Manny Machado and obviously Tatis, but you could argue Jackson Merrill is one of the faces of this franchise.
Completely
Absolutely.
agree. I think he has a chance with time to become among the faces of the sport. The sport isn't littered with, players like in the NBA, these massive stars. It's a different type of game. Yeah, you have like an Aaron Judge. Of course, Shohei Ohtani resonates everywhere, but it's a different type of sport. And I think Merrill does resonate. I think with time will continue to resonate, hopefully nationally as well.
Xander sucks again.
Xander just grounded out. What are you going to do with Xander Bogaerts, Jim?
I'm just
kidding. At what point are we going to have the conversation? I'm kidding. All right. So last night in the NBA playoffs, a couple of epic games. Again, road teams winning everywhere. Comebacks, ridiculous comebacks, like the one last night in the nightcap from the Nuggets. Tonight, will we get a great game one between the Warriors and the T-Wolves? We'll see a game two tonight. Pacers can take a complete command of the series if they open up a 2-0 lead by winning 2 road games. But 2 more tonight, and the 2 games last night were terrific.
My biggest takeaway from the games last night, was I absolutely hate the Boston Celtics.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Where's it stem fully from? That's not the number one team that you hate as a Warriors fan.
No. I don't mean like as far as my rankings go, who I hate the most. I'm just saying like in the moment of last night, I hate the Boston Celtics. You know why?
I do.
Hold on.
Brent knows, but I'll let you know. Just try to figure it out and give me a guess.
Because they went to overtime.
No, that's not.
They were green.
No, that's not it.
Okay, what is the reason?
My guess is because 19 out of their 20 shots in the fourth quarter were 3-pointers.
Not only was that it right there, Brent.
They missed
shot
45.
They shot 63s and they missed 45.
And they nearly won.
Kenny on the post game on TNT, he goes, "That's 135 points." It was around there.
What's 130? So wait, what's 135 points? They missed 135 points, 45 times 3.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the fact that team and franchise has turned into just chuck it from deep for 73s a game. Like the Warriors never even did that.
I was going to say, I mean,
they were close, but also there's a little bit of a pass when you have Steph Curry on your team,
right?
And Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant. And even then,
those guys left.
Though, well, in their prime,
I know.
Even then, that team never consistently put up 73s a game.
Now it's like the way of the league is to like let's only play analytically, right? Let's shoot 63s and let's slams and threes.
But it's more so the Boston Celtics, because the Celtics this year by far led the league in 3-point field goals attempted. They were also bottom of the league in 2s attempted and shots at the rim attempted. So they are a team who they have like 7 dudes that just chuck it from 3.
But I guess what is the issue if they're if you're winning? Like Boston is coming off an NBA title.
Yeah.
They're maybe favored to get back to an NBA finals. Shoot, they might be the favorite to win the entire thing again. I mean, now they're down on 1, maybe not. But if they win it that way.
They won it that way last year. So
did they lead the NBA last year?
Well, they didn't just start chucking threes this year. I mean, they did it last year too, but this year was even more egregious.
Issue if they, I get it. I see what you're saying, but this is an issue with the NBA in general. And if they just won an NBA championship by doing it, why would they shy away from it?
No, I get that, but also, watching the game last night,
You're saying it's just not a fun watch.
Yeah, realizing that 19 of their 20 shots in the third quarter were from three. Like,
that's crazy.
What? Like, drive to the basket one time.
Well, then what are we going to do about it? Not me
Nothing.
and you.
Nothing. The only way anything will be done about it is if every single team starts doing that. And not every team does that. When you get to the postseason, you don't really see teams chucking up 63s.
Like, in baseball,
regular season, you might see it.
People complain for a decade about, well, why is the third baseman in shallow right? Why is Manny Machado in that shift in shallow right field? And they eventually took it away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if it's had some dramatic impact on the sport, but they took it out of the sport. Now, 3-point shots are never coming out of the sport. So is there anything you can even do? Like, how creative can you get if you're the league when it comes to everything being a 3-pointer or like a slam? It's like the true outcomes in baseball: home run, strikeouts, walks. And they say, well, that's not good for the sport. So we want to see more singles and doubles and action. What could you do in the NBA if you were trying to make a change? I blame Steph for this.
No, it's all his fault. I think you're not there yet, and I don't think there's going to be a change, nor do I think there should be a change yet. I mean, again, it's not a situation where every team is doing exactly what the Boston Celtics are doing. If every team averaged 65 threes a game,
attempted,
that's a problem.
Right.
But they don't. It's the Celtics to a different level. Like, they are so far and away as far as like leading the league in threes. It's like not even funny. I mean, Derek White and Peyton Pritchard, or whoever his name is, there's the sixth man of the year. He made like almost 300 threes this year on the bench. I looked at like 10 years ago, Steph Curry had like 265 threes and he led the league. Peyton Pritchard's hitting 250 off the bench.
Is Pritchard going to break the all-time 3-point mark in his career?
Probably not. But still, like, you got Derek White, you got Jason Tatum, you got Jaylen Brown, even Al Horford. Everybody on that team is just chucking threes, and they're so skilled that it's not like they have to shoot threes. Like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, those guys can do a lot more than just shoot threes.
Well, real quick, but I feel like they've probably, as an organization, done the deep dive.
And guess what? It's worked. So I understand.
So that's the thing.
I'm just saying I'm glad
that they didn't
win last night, because
and maybe they won't win the
45 threes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they almost still won too, by the way. They could have hit a game winner there in the end. They went to overtime with the Knicks.
And then there was the foul on the floor with 3 seconds left.
Yeah.
I think the tricky thing for the NBA is, back in the day, they would just move the 3-point line back. But now everyone shoots 30, 40-foot 3-pointers, to where, moving the line back, 2 or 3 feet isn't going to do anything, because everyone shoots so far back from the line anyways, to where, what are they going to do?
All right. Fair points. We'll get back into it later in the show. On the other side, though, if you missed our conversation with Kyle Glazer, Friar Territory podcast, we'll share it with you coming up on the other side. Plus, this hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to see both Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan. Stay with us, John and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Paint Care. Padres and Yankees underway in New York. We are scoreless in the top of the second inning. Michael King on the mound for the Padres and Jackson Merrill back in the lineup hitting cleanup. He already has a double tonight in the game. NBA playoff action, game 2, Pacers and Cavs. Right now, the Cavs lead the Pacers 21-13 with 2:34 left in the first quarter there. Pacers already lead that series 1-0. And then the Warriors and Timberwolves, they tip off at 6:30, game 1 in Minnesota. They know that leftover paint in your garage is clutter. Make more room for your collections of trading cards and comics. Take the leftover paint to a Paint Care drop-off site. Make more room in your garage and help the planet. Learn more at paintcare.org.
John and Jim, your chance coming up in about 15 minutes to win a pair of tickets to see both Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan. But if you missed it earlier, great resource for Padres fans, our friend Kyle Glazer, Friar Territory podcast. Really good conversation that we started with last night's remarkable come from behind win. Take a listen.
Yeah, it was just an impressive comeback all the way around. Let's not forget, Carlos Rodon was completely in control. The Padres offense looked helpless. You had a rain delay to start, a rain delay in the middle of the game. So many things were against the Padres. And really, I think you have to give some credit to the bottom of the order for getting that rally started. Tyler Wade with the walk, Brandon Lockridge with that 0-2, single, broken bat single into center field. And look, Fernando Tatis Jr., that was a pitch that was called against him a few times that night. And give Mike Shildt credit for standing up for his players and going out there. And I have to say, the lineup card, the pen and the glasses was a really, really nice touch on his part.
Oh yeah, it was such a great toss of the glasses and knowing he's going to get rung, just not breaking eye contact with Adrian Johnson, ripping up his scorecard, throwing his glasses. It was fantastic. But if not for what Xander Bogaerts and Manny Machado did last night, the ejection wouldn't have meant as much. And speaking of Xander, very impactful the last week here, Kyle, after really struggling the first month. From what you're seeing, do you feel like he's figured something out with his swing? Do you feel like he's turned it around here? And what have you made of his last week here?
Certainly been really, really, really encouraging. And the main thing I'm noticing is when he was really starting to struggle and spiral a little bit last month, you saw him when he was in the batter's box jumping at the baseball, which is what guys do when they're pressing, when they're lacking confidence, when they're searching for something. And it just kind of makes everything worse. What we're seeing from him more so the last week, again, hasn't been perfect, but it's been a lot better. You're just seeing a more confident hitter. He's staying in that back hip, letting the ball travel, trusting his hands, and just, reading and reacting to the baseball. And we're starting to see him hit a lot more hard line drives. Even some of his outs have been hard hit. He had a hard hit liner in Pittsburgh, a hard hit liner at the first baseman against the Giants. So I think just seeing him stay back on the baseball, trusting his hands, that's a sign of a more confident hitter, a more balanced hitter, and we're starting to see the results follow. Obviously, it's only been a week. You want to see him keep it up, but it was the kind of turnaround that he needed, and it's been really good to see.
8 RBIs in his last 6 games. They've all come in Padres wins. Again, the Padres have won 6 straight. Kyle Glazer, Friar Territory, is with us. A big reason why, Kyle, is this bullpen, right? Like, what can you say about it? It's not just that quote unquote A team with the Robert Suarez's and the Jason Adams. It's basically the entirety of the bullpen. You could make the argument the reason the Padres are where they are and maybe the Yankees are where they are is the Padres bullpen has been elite. The Yankees hasn't. But what can you say about the overall body of work of this bullpen so far?
It has been historic. Look, this is one of the most effective bullpens we have seen in recent memory. Again, it's only May. It's a long season. There's a lot of time left. But, I mean, it's like you mentioned, it's not just the main guys, all of whom have ERAs under 2.5. But, the guys who aren't part of the A bullpen, Yuki Matsui's under 2.5. Wandy Peralta's at, 1.5 ERA. I mean, Alec Jacob, who is, considered not one of the key guys, he's at, 2.16. I mean, it's to a man, every single one of them has been on point for the most part for the entirety of the year. And it's so rare. You have a lot of teams where they're good 6, 7, 8, maybe 7, 8, 9, but they have kind of, like you said, their A bullpen and their B bullpen. The Padres' B bullpen guys would be A bullpen guys for most other teams in baseball.
Yeah.
It's just something that's special to watch, and I think you just have to appreciate the greatness while you're watching it.
Yeah, and speaking of greatness, Fernando Tatis Jr., he's been great this season. He's kind of cooled off at the plate recently. Obviously, last night got the ejection, but, it is what it is. And he got hit on the arm on Friday. But what he did on Saturday in Pittsburgh, Kyle, I mean, he's finding ways to help out his team other than just at the plate. This is kind of like almost like a final form we're seeing of Tatis here this year, with the big caveat, if he stays healthy for the entire season.
Exactly. That's always the big thing with him. We have to keep in mind he has never played a full season except for the shortened 2020 season, largely due to injuries, also partially due to his PED suspension. So there's no question we are seeing the best, most complete version of Fernando Tatis Jr. You have to remember, he's in his age 26 season. He's just now entering his prime. I think a lot of people forget that because he's been around for so long. But you talk about he's doing everything. He's hitting for average. He's hitting for power. He's stealing bases. He's making great catches in right field. He's gunning guys down at the plate. And he's doing so with a consistency we haven't always seen. I mean, look, his career high average, outside of his rookie year, he's been a 260s, 270s hitter most of his career. He's up to 317 right now, his highest average since his rookie year. So obviously it's still early. He needs to stay healthy, but we are seeing a supremely talented player just now reaching his prime, and it's really special to watch.
It's been a lot of fun to watch. Kyle Glazer's with us right now from Friar Territory. John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. If they play tonight, again, there's been rain showers in the Northeast, obviously, as we know. It would be Michael King tonight against his former team. How do you expect this one to go? And Michael King's obviously been terrific for the Padres, and this is a huge opportunity for him. First time back in the Bronx since the trade.
Yeah, I talked with Mike Cameron about this a little bit earlier on this morning's episode of Friar Territory. And look, players always have a little bit of an extra edge when they're facing the team that traded them away, especially in the case of Michael King, the team he broke into the big leagues with, the team that really was his home for pretty much his entire big league career. Then they traded him. They weren't sure if he was going to be a reliever or starter. And he has certainly proven with the Padres that he can be not just a starter, but a frontline starter. So there's definitely an element here of him going back to New York and showing them, hey, you were wrong about me, and I'm going to prove it to you. Obviously, you don't want him to get too amped up and overthrow, but everything he's done throughout his tenure in San Diego, you trust him to go out and pitch like a number one, and pitch like a number one against good teams. We've seen him do it against the Braves, the Dodgers. He won't be intimidated at all pitching in Yankee Stadium, facing his old teammates. I expect him to be ready to go and in prime form.
Luis Ariz, the big conversation with him a lot of times is like, well, his WAR's not that high and he doesn't hit for much power, and like kind of the conversation of like, what's he really worth? Well, I think we're seeing that, early on this year, the team with him in the lineup, what is it, 23-6 or something?
22-6.
22-6. Yeah. He's been incredible when he's been in the lineup, even though he had that 0-for-13 start. His impact, Kyle, I feel like is an impact that, isn't always shown in the box score, even though he's a guy that can go out and get multiple hits for you every single game.
Well, I'd argue it is shown in the box score, but it's not shown in advanced metrics.
That's what, yeah.
Fail to understand about WAR and some, WRC pluses. Look, these are extremely convoluted formulas with subjectively weighted inputs that can be manipulated at any time. They significantly underweight contact. And they also are, you have to remember, defensive metrics are an absolute mess right now. So trying to integrate those, WAR is always going to be way too light on contact-oriented players and their impact, and it's not going to get defense right either. Ask the players on the field, ask the coaches on the field, ask the opponents on the field. Luis Ariz is one of the 20 to 25 most impactful position players in the game right now. He is an elite contact hitter, unlike anyone in the game, who fundamentally changes the way teams have to go through a lineup. And I can tell you, talking to opposing pitchers and catchers throughout the league, they hate facing him because every other batter in the league, including Judge, Ohtani, and the rest, they know if they go out and execute their pitch, more often than not, they're going to have success. Luis Ariz, there's nothing you can do. I've talked to so many pitchers that say, honestly, I should just throw a first pitch fastball down the middle because I want to save my bullets. He's going to hit it, and I just have to hope he hits it at someone. He makes pitchers and opposing catchers feel helpless. They do not like facing him, and he is an impactful force in a major league lineup that advanced analytics just don't fully appreciate because the inputs aren't weighted to appreciate him.
Great insight on Arise. And again, he's returned. The Padres have won 6 consecutive games. Now they're expected to get Jackson Merrill back. He hasn't played in the last 24 games for the Padres. It's been probably a month since the hamstring. So I would ask it like this, Kyle. Do you think Jackson Merrill is going to look like Jackson Merrill when he does return?
I think the Padres would not be putting him back in the lineup if he didn't look like Jackson Merrill. Hamstring injuries are really, really, really tricky. You do not want to rush a guy back from a hamstring injury. If his hamstring was not strengthened 100% fully ready to go, the Padres would not have brought him back. So look, there's always going to be an adjustment. You know, getting your timing back, coming back up and facing major league pitching is very different than just a quick rehab stint against AA kind of arms. But in terms of the way he's moving, I will be shocked if he doesn't look like his old form, because if he doesn't, that means the Padres brought him back too fast, which just wouldn't have been the right thing to do this early in the season.
Kyle, always appreciate it, man. Great work with Friar Territory. We appreciate you hopping on, John and Jim. We're looking forward to the rest of this series here in New York, and thanks for taking time for us here on 760.
Thanks, Kyle.
My pleasure. Anytime, guys.
Kyle Glazer from earlier today. The update from Yankee Stadium is there was no score. Second inning, Padres and Yankees. You need to call right now if you want 2 free tickets to see Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan May 15th, about a week from now, at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. First 2 callers will be our contestants for trivia. We call it Trainwreck Radio. Call right now. Great giveaway. 2 free tickets to see both Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan. The number to call, 877-767-4760. Again, call right now. 877-767-4760. 2 free tickets to see both Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan May 15th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Call now, 877-767-4760. That's next. Hey guys, it is John and Jim for the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. We want to remind you that you can vote for them right now in the UT's Best of Awards. Make sure to make your voices heard. It's the annual San Diego's Best UT Readers Poll. They'd love your vote for the best local casino, best sports bar, best nightclub, and more.
John, did you know that Sunday is Mother's Day?
Of course I did.
Mother's Day brunch at Prime Cut this Sunday from 10:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Show mom how much she means to you with a decadent brunch at Prime Cut, featuring lobster tails and hand-carved prime rib. Make her day extra special with a meal that she'll love.
Also, this weekend, catch UFC 315 Saturday at 7 p.m. All the action at Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, Loft 94, or our poker room. Again, it's the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place.
All right, John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Again, here until 6 p.m. No score in the Bronx. Padres and Yankees in the third inning. We've also been discussing this NBA postseason where the Cavs are basically facing a must-win tonight, down 0-1 at home. And with these injuries, they are all over Indiana right now. The Sam Merrill game, right? Remember him? Utah State.
Oh, yeah, that's a name.
Mountain West title game. 3 threes in the first half for the Cavs. I can't believe Sam Merrill's been in the NBA all this time. He has. He's got 9 points. Donovan Mitchell's been very good, but the Cavs are all over the Pacers right now. It's early. Everyone makes a run. It's the NBA, but 38-21 Cavs, 9 minutes to play in the first half. I think it's fair to say, right, Jim, that they have to win this game. I mean, they can't go down 0-2 going to Indiana, right?
No, that when you're the higher seed and you have home court, you lose the first 2 games at home. It's you're pretty cooked.
You're cooked. Yeah.
You're pretty cooked. But the Cavs weren't 64-18 in the regular season
For no reason.
They're a good team, even though they're missing, arguably one of their best players in Evan Mobley tonight and Darius Garland, but they are putting on the Pacers right now 38-22 with about 8:50 left in the first half. I think this series could be a long series. I do. I think Indiana is deep enough with Siakam and Turner and Nembhard and Halliburton, and I look at their team as like a sneaky team to watch out for in the Eastern Conference. I don't know if they're going to win the title, but just they're not going to be an easy out.
Are you nervous for tonight coming up at 6:30 Pacific? The Warriors back on the floor for the first time since Game 7.
Yes, I am, but I also do feel like the rest of the way here is a little bit of gravy for the Warriors, but I mean, they did make that big trade for Jimmy Butler. So when you make a big trade like that for Jimmy Butler, you have expectations. You're not just saying like, oh, second round exit, everything was great. Like, no, they have this year and then 2 more years of whatever they can get out of Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler. And then it's like rebuild,
calibrate it.
What? I don't know how long Steph's going to play for. Draymond, Jimmy, like they're getting older. Steph, I think, could play for a long time, but I mean, I guess they're kind of playing with house money.
Yeah, but is it like you've seen so much of this? They've got these 4 rings in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you look at it like that because they've won at such a high level that by making the second round, it's all good?
No,
like if they lost in 5, you'd be like,
no, I'll be upset. I don't think it's all good, but also the expectation, if they were to lose, it's not the same feeling as if they were to lose like they did back in the late 2010s.
Gotcha.
When they had
they're completely loaded.
The best team, number 1 seed. Like when you're the number 1 seed, you lose. That is such a failure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like what? But for this Warriors team, it's a little house money, but it's not like if they lose, whatever, it's fine. I mean, still, it's not like Steph's going to view it as a successful season. His mind, it's like, I'm going to compete for a championship for as long as I possibly can.
That's what he should be saying. He's a top 10 chat GPT guy.
I know. Top 10 chat GPT. That will be on First Take soon. He's a top 10 chat GPT guy.
Top 11.
In the history of the NBA. He's 10th. Kobe's 11th.
Yeah.
What do you got, bro?
Now, ESPN's been trying to rehash this all day and make it a big deal again. The whole Draymond chokehold of Gobert from like 2.5 years ago, that's not going to have any issue on the series, right? Because ESPN keeps bringing it up today like there's still bad blood about it.
It better not.
What about Steve Kerr being like, I would never draft Anthony Edwards first. He sucks.
He didn't say that.
But why do they make
Answer
that a big
stupid.
deal? I've seen that all over Instagram.
Well,
that was from 5 years ago, right? 2020.
Right. So the Warriors had the 2nd pick in the draft that year. The T-Wolves had the 1st pick in the draft that year.
Jonathan Kuminga?
No, James Wiseman.
Okay.
Bust of a pick.
Okay.
But Steve Kerr, they're working him out, and he's like, "That's a hard." He's like, "You're going 100%." And being around Steph as long, Steph, KD, and Clay, it's like, no. You need to watch Steph, Clay, and Kevin Durant. That's how hard you need to go. And until you get to that point, like you have a lot of work to do. And so that was something that Anthony Edwards said motivated him. And without that from Steve Kerr, he wouldn't be the player he is today because it motivated him to just be like a gym rat, to stay in the gym and work on his conditioning and work on his game. And
so if the T-Wolves win this series, it's Steve Kerr's fault?
No, it's the T-Wolves win this series. The T-Wolves obviously have a better team.
And Anthony Edwards has just turned into one of the better players in the league. He doesn't need additional motivation. It's not like Anthony Edwards is okay, but now that Steve Kerr said that 5 years ago, he's gone from okay to great. Mm-hmm. He's already great.
Now I look at Anthony Edwards as like the next in line but he's got to win though. He's got to win. Luka hasn't won yet. SGA hasn't won yet. Jokic has won, but I don't think people like are running to their TVs to watch Jokic. The average fan, the basketball lover. I mean, his game is incredible, but like the average fan's like, we got to stop everything we're doing to watch Jokic, even though he is incredible. But I do love everything about Anthony Edwards. And he has mentioned a couple years ago, like the one team he wanted to face in the postseason was the Warriors because of Draymond and because Draymond talks a lot. And that's like the only reason why. He's like, I just wanted to play Draymond because I love talking trash. I know he loves talking trash. I think it'd be fun.
I think it'll be a good series. I really do. I mean, Minnesota played very well, clearly, against the Lakers. The Warriors, to win in the manner in which they did after losing game 6 at home, to bounce back and win in Houston was impressive. I think it's going to be a long series that begins tonight at 6:30 between the Warriors and the T-Wolves in Minneapolis. Again, in sports, sometimes you talk about scheduled losses. I don't know if that's done or not for the Warriors. 1 day rest, off game 7 on the road. We'll see if they can go 4 for 4 road teams winning game 1 in this round. All right, updates from the Bronx coming up on the other side. And why don't we do this right now, Brent? Because we have a moment. Let's give away these tickets to see Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan. We have a pair of tickets. Caller 7, you are going. This is the Outlaw Music Festival. Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, and more. It's coming up next week, May 15th. Caller 7, you are going. 877-767-4760. That's 877-767-4760. 2 free tickets, Outlaw Music Festival. Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, May 15th. That is in 9 days at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Again, Ticketmaster.com. Hour 4 on the other side. Updates from the Bronx. Padres trying to stretch their winning streak to 7 games. Updates from the NBA postseason. Jim's back page as well. Stay with us right here on John and Jim.
This update's brought to you by Superstar Car Wash. Padres, Yankees, scoreless top of the fourth inning there. Jackson Merrill, he already has a double in his return. Moving over to the NBA postseason, game 2 of the semifinals in the Eastern Conference between the Cavs and the Pacers. Right now, Cavs lead the Pacers 50-39 with 4 minutes left to go in the first half. And then Warriors and Timberwolves, game 1 of their series tips off at 6:30 in Minnesota. If you know, you go at Superstar Car Wash. They're proud to have over 550,000 members. Be in the know and try what everyone loves today. Text Super CA to 27800 to get 50% off their best wash. Terms and conditions apply.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's John and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour of John and Jim. We do have Jim's back page coming up. And you know what? For good measure, guys, we might hear from Scott Miller again. We might do it. We might live a little.
We might live.
You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's so much else going on, so we'll see if we can get to it.
Yeah.
But if you missed Scott Miller, great baseball voice. He joined us earlier. He's got a new book coming out about the importance of managers. He joined us earlier in the show. We'll see if we can play back some of that coming up later in the hour. The update from the Bronx is that there's been no score. The good news is Jackson Merrill is back in that lineup tonight for the Padres. He has doubled in his first AB. Padres are seeking, Jim, a 7th consecutive win behind Michael King here tonight.
And Michael King has been pitching well back in New York. The thing with Michael King, Brent, do you have the Michael King sound from earlier? Okay, so I want to bring this back. Michael King making his return to New York tonight. We all know it had the trade with the Juan Soto, right? But when I heard this, and I found this on social media, and he was talking with Dallas Braden, and listen to this story about Michael King and how he became a starter, and how if this didn't happen, what he did, he's probably not here in a Padres uniform, and who knows where they trade Juan Soto after the 2023 season. Listen to Michael King here talk to Dallas Braden.
The bullpen life is a different breed. And then I talked to Booney going into spring training of 23, and I said, like, you got to give me, I'm a starter. That's why you're allowing me to flip a lineup, because I have a starter's arsenal. And his first line to me was, you're too valuable in the bullpen. And I said, if you put Garrett Cole in the bullpen, he'd be too valuable in the bullpen. And because he's too valuable in the bullpen, he's a starter. So I was
well played. Well played.
And then, unfortunately, we had some injuries. And I went up to Booney. I'm like, this is it, dude. And
time.
If I struggle a little bit and I know I'm a reliever, then great, I'm a reliever. But this is the time for me to go. And I ended up having a good, I don't know, 8 or 9 starts to end the year and built up to
outstanding. An outstanding run, my friend.
Thank you. And then I told him, I was like, the only way you guys got Soto is because I was built up as a starter. The Padres aren't trading for a middle reliever, you know? So
a little bit of a you're welcome.
Yeah, it all works out.
I love that.
That's a really good story and little insight on like how he became a starter there. And, you know, he was the driving force behind it. And man, has it worked out for him. He has been proven right so far.
Jackson Merrill is 2 for 2 in his return after missing 24 consecutive games.
He's incredible.
Yeah, he really is. The thing on King, so I like that you just shared that story. I go back to the Instagram post from King when Jackson Merrill got his contract extension, where he's like, here for the long haul.
Oh, and then you took that and you're like,
I'm like, oh, he's here. He's not going anywhere.
He wants to stay.
He replied to his Instagram post and was like, congrats, kid. That means he wants to be here long term. King's just a centerpiece is what he is. Now, where he's going to be a centerpiece of a rotation moving forward, we don't know. Right now, he's the centerpiece of the Padres rotation. I think he's their true ace. I don't think it's Dylan Cease right now, based on his first 7 starts. I think Nick Pivetta is emerging as that player, but he's never done it really to this point in his career. I think if I could choose one pitcher to start any one meaningful game, I think I'm going with Michael King.
Like on the Padres roster?
Yeah. No, not like in baseball. For the Padres. I mean, are you going elsewhere or are you going with King?
No, I'm 100% going with Michael King. And it's like not even a question.
It's just so solid.
There's no hesitation for me at this point in time. It's King, Pivetta, Cease.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
We'll
see about Darvish when he gets back in there.
Might change, you know. Look,
I don't know if he's gonna be a true ace though.
Cease? Or no, Darvish.
I'm just worried about the age and the lack of innings. And
yeah, but postseason,
he's really good.
Really good against the Dodgers. I mean, game 5 was incredible.
But it's good. What was it? 6 innings, 2 runs?
6 innings, 2 runs.
It was good.
For game 5 on the road.
It was incredible.
I think the circumstances that played out, elimination game on the road, going 6 innings, allowing only 2 earned runs, and those 2 hits were home runs. I mean, all you need is your offense to do a little something.
True.
I thought it was a great start.
It was good.
It was great.
They unfortunately lost, but I get your point. I don't know.
His ass off.
But are you telling me that this year, as we fast forward, even if Darvish is healthy, that's fine. So if Darvish is healthy, you're going with Darvish over King?
No, I'm not. But depending on who's pitching well at the 3-4 spot, Cease has got to pick it up. Long season to go. But, Cease has been kind of subpar this season for his standards, not for, the overall, but for his standards, he has not pitched well this year.
It's hard for me to say I would turn to Dylan Cease in a decisive playoff game.
Well, looking at his playoff numbers, I wouldn't even want him in the postseason pitching for me.
Now, at some point, he's going to have to potentially break through, and maybe that happens in a Padres uniform, maybe not. I think he's capable of having success, I would guess, in the postseason. He's been good in the regular season.
Back to your initial point, Michael King is the ace of this team.
Yeah, I think you could argue it, but I feel comfortable with King. Now, I feel like Pavetta's been terrific as well for this team. And I think Darvish, to your point, has a chance to be very good if he gets healthy. And Cease has a chance to be very good. That's why I like this team. Show me the glaring hole. I like the rotation. I love their bullpen. I really like their lineup. So I don't see glaring holes. You want to say they can upgrade a catcher? That's fine. You want to say they can upgrade in left field? That's fine. I just don't see, especially for a May team, like a team that can still upgrade in July. I don't see glaring holes. Doesn't mean they're going to win the World Series, but I think they're built to win over the long haul here in 2025 and get back to the postseason and then see what happens then.
You don't think the bottom of their lineup is a hole?
I don't think it's a glaring hole, no. I do not. Not when they're fully healthy. Like you said, when you have Bogaerts and Cronenworth back in there, that's 6 of your 9. I don't think it's a glaring hole. Like having a Jose Iglesias in there or a Tyler Wade to go along with your catcher. I guess it could be argued. I don't see it as a glaring hole.
Left field. That's a hole. That's a glaring hole.
They could upgrade in left field, yes.
Yeah.
But it hasn't held them back.
No, but it's still pretty apparent that the left fielders they've put out there this year
aren't as good as Jerks and
the production they've gotten in left field compared to last year.
Yeah.
Now,
no, I get it.
And I think we've said this. If you don't have anybody that replaced Profar and you're just throwing stuff against the wall and seeing if it sticks, that's fine as long as you get great seasons from Toddy and Merrill. Then that makes up for the loss of Profar's production because it evens out.
Mm-hmm.
So far,
that's what's happened.
Yeah, if Jackson stays healthy here and Toddy stays healthy, that's what you're going to get.
And the reason I don't see the catching situation as even a hole is they are catching the best staff in baseball. Mm-hmm. So they have to get some of that credit. I'm not saying they get all of that credit. They're not the reason why Michael King is Michael King. He was good before these two catchers, but they should get some of that credit. And by the way, they've done better than expected. Like Maldonado, we didn't think would hit 200. We'll see if he does. Elias Diaz, we didn't think he'd hit 10 plus home runs. He's hit 3 in the first 30 games of the year. So because of all that, I don't see catcher as a big issue. Maybe they can upgrade there. You're right on left field, but there's time. That's the thing. If their one true hole is left field, I think it could probably be addressed between now and the trade deadline.
And if it's not addressed, then they're going to address other places and make those other places stronger, like the bullpen or the rotation or a DH, right?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
Like they can't get a left fielder that is an upgrade, which offensively there's probably a couple handfuls of left fielders out there that would be better offensively and defensively. I don't think that Jason Hayward is like
he's not some brilliant defender.
You can't live without Jason Hayward.
There was a time when he was an outstanding defensive player.
Yeah, a decade ago.
Yeah, there was a time. But yeah, again, I think they can upgrade. That's a long way from now, the end of July. Although they've done it before that before. I mean, Arise was like now. Arise was an addition in early May. It might have been before right now. Dylan Cease obviously was like opening day last year. So it's always possible. But I think when you're 23-11, because last year they were a 500 team. But I think when you're 23-11, you don't need to make any changes. Padres have taken an early lead at Yankee Stadium on a balk of all things. In the fourth inning, they lead 1-0. Clark Schmidt balks, and now he's balking at the umpire.
I see
like
what you did
that?
there.
And the Yankees are trailing the Padres in the fourth inning, 1-0. The Padres are looking to add on.
Yes, they are.
So it's been, listen, this stretch, the 6th straight win since Arise comes back, and now you add Jackson Merrill, and they're 4-0 on the road trip. It's kind of like the start of their season, Jim, when they started what, 7-0?
Started 7-0, sweep the first series, I guess, homestand
Second
of the
series,
year.
Yep.
Started 14-3. Like, I'm curious because we still are, early in the season to, make these, sweeping statements of like, oh, this is who this team is as far as like their trends go. Like they're going to be this team all year long. I think the foundation of this team is definitely set, Grit Squad. So I'm happy with that. But are they going to be a team where they just go on these crazy hot streaks and then they kind of cool off for like 10 to 12 games where they just don't play well and then they just get hot again? Like, is that what we're going to see this year or what?
My answer for that would be, I hope.
You hope.
I hope everything we've seen is who they are. That would be my true wish, that what we've seen so far can be replicated, because I would guess they're not playing at this winning percentage all year. So my hope would be they can replicate what they've done.
Well, if they did, we're talking about like best record in franchise history.
And it wouldn't be close. And that's why, to your question about it being early, like, can they do this or do we truly know who they are? I mean, if they can do this, then they're one of the best teams like in National League history. So I don't know if they can actually do that, but I do think we've seen enough to say that if they're not playoff caliber, that's going to be shocking.
I just love the culture that's been created, that it's a culture that has carried over from last year. Because in years past, this Padres team, it was like year to year, right? You don't know what you're going to get this year. Don't know what you're going to get this year.
Right.
And it feels like they have finally figured it out as an organization. Finally.
I agree.
Where the manager, the general manager,
you're right.
Everybody's on that same page. I thought that was the case after 2022. It wasn't. Bob and AJ hated each other. It wasn't going to work. And the team imploded on itself in 2023.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what 2024 was going to bring, and give Shildt a lot of credit that they created a culture. Everybody's pulling on the same rope. Everyone's on the same page. And that culture now seems like it's a through line from season to season to season. We'll still have to see how things go. But in year 2 of the Shildt era, the culture, the Grit Squad, is exactly the same as the second half of last year into this year.
And it's amazing. It's a great point. It's almost like it's stronger. It's almost like it's a tighter knit group. It's almost like they now fully know what Mike Shildt is trying to do, and he's getting the most out of this group right now. They're looking for a second 7-game winning streak should they win at Yankee Stadium here tonight. We'll keep you updated on the other side. Back to the NBA postseason. Jim's back page here until 6. John and Jim. Radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future, but we need your help. Text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates apply. Padres lead the Yankees, Jim, 2-0 in the fourth inning. NBA playoffs tonight. Cavs are still leading the Pacers at last check. Warriors coming up later tonight. What's that Cavs score?
51-60 at the half. Or sorry, 61-50, my bad. Why did I say 51?
I don't know. But I was about to rip you for saying the lower score first. You don't do that though.
No, I don't. I am paying attention to three different things right now.
I honestly can't do it. What's the third thing?
I don't know what the third thing is.
No, I got you.
You, Padres, and whatever. Oh, my computers. There you go.
Your computer. Did you see that? Man, I can't deal with the two monitor setup.
Why? Did you lose something? What happened?
Yeah, my cursor.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's what happened to me the other day, and you were like, "Get over
I know.
it."
You're right.
I go over to the right here, and then it's on the thing down here,
and then it's hard to get it back sometimes.
I'm like, "Where did it go?" And then I'll like drag my browser, and then the browser's gone.
An update from the Bronx: Aaron Judge is homered. Stop me if you've heard that before.
He's a good baseball player, John.
Still, the Padres are leading 2-1. Michael King talked about that leading up to the start. I think it was in the New York Post, maybe at MLB.com. He said, I was teammates with him for 4 years, but I never squared off even in a sim game. He's like, I had no answers. I would have no answers. And that kind of played out here.
He knew it right away, too.
And Judge, this is a classic short porch home run. It's 314 to right at Yankee Stadium. That is not out of Petco Park. That's not out of probably 28 of the 30 ballparks. It's out of Fenway probably. But that is a classic. Now, that's not who he is, by the way. Judge is not like what would be
the benefit of
I'm sure
Yankee
he
Stadium.
has.
Yeah, he has for sure.
Hit some mammoth home runs. Like that is a perfect example of Aaron Judge doesn't homer if he's a Padre in that circumstance. If he's playing at Petco Park,
that's either out at the warning track at Petco or like maybe off the wall.
Yeah, maybe.
Or probably caught by Tatis.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's 314. So I think here's the thing: if you're King, you can live with that. Solo home runs to Aaron Judge with a 2-run lead. Okay, it'll happen.
And you're challenging him. That's what you want to do. You don't want to have Judge up with multiple men on base. That is the time you give up a home run there to Aaron Judge is when start of an inning, nobody on. He'll take it.
Now, last night, Trent Grisham, he hits a 2-run home run, which isn't ideal. It was after a walk because of a bad call from the plate umpire, but that's all that Nick Pivetta basically allowed. You're taking on the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. They're very good at home. They've got a very good lineup, not just Aaron Judge. So, again, Padres with a win today win the series. They need one of the next two to win this series. They'll be in Colorado on Friday. I saw today that the Rockies, because of a rainout today, will play a doubleheader Thursday. So in advance of the Padres coming there Friday, the Rockies will play 2 games on Thursday. We'll see if that's another advantage for the Padres this weekend.
By the way, speaking of the Aaron Judge home run,
okay.
Do you want to know? Don't look it up.
I'm not looking
on social media.
Not look.
Do you know how many ballparks that is a home run in?
Well, I would say Yankee Stadium probher.
Yankee Stadium could.
I think Fenway Park in Boston, that's gone. I mean, the bullpens are there, but I feel like it's gone. Don't tell me.
Okay.
Other ballparks with short porches and right. I would say it's out of 2 of 30, maybe 1 of 30 the way you said it. Maybe just Yankee Stadium, but my mind tells me it's out of 2 of 30.
Technically, you're right. Yes.
What am I right about? 1 of 30 or 2 of 30?
2 of 30.
But it's not Fenway?
It's 3 of 30, but one of those ballparks I'm not counting because it's where the Tampa Bay Rays play, which is George Steinbrenner Field.
That's cheating. Yeah.
That doesn't count.
Yeah.
So it's 2 major league ballparks. Obviously, Yankee Stadium.
And Fenway?
Not Fenway.
Man, that's interesting. It's not. Don't give me a hint. It's not the real Tampa.
Nope.
I can't. Cincinnati?
Nope.
I can't think of it.
Houston.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have thought that at all.
So that is a home run in 2 ballparks, Houston and New York. It's not a home run in 28 other ballparks.
Right. It's an out.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is and that's going to happen. Ballpark factors, right?
So
it does factor, and
Yeah.
Judge gets the benefit for sure, but he's also a guy that I'm not going to put into a category of the only reason why he gets those numbers
No,
is he
either.
plays at Yankee Stadium.
Either am I. And I've heard people say that, and I don't think that's fair at all. Because if you say that with Aaron Judge, you would say it with Babe Ruth. I mean, Aaron Judge hits home runs like Babe Ruth. The second we hype up Michael King to be the second coming of like Cy Young, the Judge homer, and now the Yankees have added another run.
Do you release King after the game?
Well, I think you do it in the game to prove a
Like
point
right
to the
now?
other starters. Like if you're going to pitch like this, you're going to go too.
Yeah.
This is a tough ballpark to pitch in, is what it is. Against a good lineup.
And he knows it. He's pitched there.
Exactly. So we'll see if the Padres can deal with some adversity here tonight. It's 2-2, Padres and Yankees in the bottom of the fourth inning. Did you see the story about Shildt Sanders? He wants to wear the number 12, and the reason is Tom Brady.
This morning, when I saw that news, it was like every news outlet
picked that up.
Was like, Shildt Sanders picked number 12. Shildt Sanders picked number 12. And I'm like, who effing cares? He's a fifth rounder, bro.
But that's how sizable I feel like he's going to transcend a little bit, and people are either going to love it or they're going to hate it, but they're going to have to deal with it.
And that's a problem for Cleveland, because if he does not win the starter's job, if he does not play well in camp and proves that he should be the starter, you are setting yourself up for disaster. Because the one thing that you do not want if you're an NFL team is your backup quarterback being more popular than your starting quarterback.
That's a great point.
If your backup is more popular, a bigger news story, a guy that is always asked about to your coaching staff, you just don't want to deal with it. Like you just either you move on or you have him be the starter. You can't have that. The only quarterbacks in the league that you could have like Shildt on their roster as a backup, I would say Mahomes, I would say Lamar, I would say Herbert, I would say, I mean, there's a bunch of quarterbacks here that you could have him be the backup, and it wouldn't be a bigger story.
You make it's a great
Joe
point,
Burrow, Josh Allen, right? I mean, I'm living off a bunch, but like, you get my point.
Yeah, the point being that you never want a quarterback that isn't your leader to be a distraction. Like, it's one thing if he's a distraction, but he's really good and you put up with it. It's another thing just to be a distraction as the backup. What point do you serve? Now, is it Shador's fault that he's going to be a distraction? I mean,
a little bit,
yes. Some of it, yes. But some of it now is just going to be media attention he'll never be able to escape. You know, just you're Deion's kid. You're Shildt Sanders. Yes, he brought some of it on him. You're right. I think that is fair. But some of this sideshow is just going to it's going to exist. No matter what he does, it's just going to exist now.
That's Cleveland, man.
Yeah.
That's Cleveland's fault. Dylan Gabriel, he's sitting there like, well, no one's ever going to talk about me. And I was drafted a higher than Shildt Sanders.
Right. Exactly.
And it's so going into camp with their quarterback room being as awful as it is. Hey, good luck, Cleveland, because you're going to need it. Because guess what? If Shildt is not the starter, if he doesn't win that job,
you got some problems.
Oh, you got some problems.
What do you got, Brent?
I think part of it's going to be on Shildt just for if he goes in there and just plays ball and he doesn't run his mouth and like cause ripples in the pool or whatever you want to call it. I think he'll be all right. But if he goes in there first day of camp and is just telling everyone how he's going to be the starter and just is, a little, a couple notches above arrogant to where it's going to rub people the wrong way, then yeah, I think it's going to be a distraction. I think if he just kind of learns his, humble pie lesson from the draft, so to speak, and just goes out there and just plays football and just doesn't do anything else extra, I think it won't be as big of a distraction.
We will find out soon enough. That is for sure. If you missed our conversation with Scott Miller, New York Times contributor, great baseball writer, you're going to hear from Scott Miller on the other side. Plus Jim's back page. Stay with us, John and Jim.
All right, this update's brought to you by the West Automotive Auto Group. Padres and Yankees, top of the fifth inning. We are now all tied up at 2 apiece. Jackson Merrill in the game is 2 for 2 with a double. Aaron Judge has a solo home run. We'll keep you updated on the game for the rest of the show. NBA playoff action right now. Game 2, Cavs and Pacers. Cavs lead the Pacers 65-54, 10:22 left in the third quarter. And then Warriors Timberwolves, they tip off game 1 at 6:30 p.m. in Minnesota. If you're experiencing transmission issues, contact West Automotive Group to get your car back in top shape. Repairs, maintenance, oil changes, and more done by ASE certified technicians. Find the location closest to you and book today at westautomotivegroup.com.
All right, if you missed it earlier, Scott Miller, New York Times contributor. He's got a book coming out next week called Skipper, Why Baseball Managers Matter and Always Will. He joined us earlier. We started the conversation asking him about what's impressed him the most about the Padres.
Nice to be with you guys. And yes, Mike Shildt's done a wonderful job last year and this year. And yeah, that game last night in a microcosm, man, and that, when Tatis gets called out on strikes, gets ejected, Shildt gets ejected, and then the Padres score 4 runs to beat the Yankees. So you can't script it like that. That's why we keep watching. You never know what's going to happen, what's up around the next corner. And as far as that goes, the Padres, these guys love playing for Shildt. He has, you see continually quotes like he has our back. We know he's behind us. He supports us, all that stuff. And that kind of goes into what is important about a modern manager. You mentioned the book I have coming out next week, and thank you. Very excited about that. And managers always will matter. It's just the job Mike Shildt's doing today. It's a different job than the job Bruce Bochy was doing in 1996 or that Preston Gomez was doing back in 1970. The job has changed, but it's still very, very important.
In your opinion, what is the hardest part about being a manager in today's game?
I think it's you're getting pulled in so many different directions. Specifically, baseball operations, analytics in every organization now has things they want you to do. They have instructions for you. They have asks for you, and that's on one side. And then on the other side are the players. And the manager has to be loyal to the players. The manager has to be honest with the players. He has to have great communication with the players. A lot of what the manager does now, and I don't mean this as his only job, but when I say Mike Shildt's job is different than what Bruce Bochy did in 1996, is a lot of it now is selling. The front baseball ops wants you to do this or that, or platoon the righty and the lefty. And as a manager, you've got to sometimes, not always, but sometimes sell the plan, the desires of baseball ops to the players in a way that they buy it, that they don't lose confidence, that they're behind it, they support it. And, in the book, Bruce Bochy, as many, many others, I probably talked to 200 people for this book, managers, players, executives, current, former. And as Bruce Bochy told me, in the book, he said, it used to be, when I first started managing, it used to be just tell the player what to do. Now, you may tell the player what to do, but it's going to require an explanation. Today's players, the manager, it's like, well, I want you to do this, and this is why. Because unlike players of a previous generation or two ago, they don't just blindly listen to leaders anymore. They want to know the ins and outs and the wherefores and the whys. And, that's probably, to me, that's the hardest part, to answer your question, of a manager's job is having his players back and doing what's best for the players, but also threading that needle where when analytics wants you to do some things, selling it to the players.
Great insight. Scott Miller, New York Times contributor. Again, next week, a brand new book, Skipper, Why Baseball Managers Matter and Always Will. You look at the job that we talked about just a few minutes ago of Mike Shildt. I think they're 66-30, the Padres, in their last 96
regular season games going back to the midway point last year when they were 50-50. But this year's team, heading into this game 2 tonight against the Yankees, 23-11 overall, overcoming injuries. Didn't have Luis Ariz, haven't had Jackson Merrill for the better part of the season. What's impressed you the most about this Padres start?
Yeah, what you just said, because that is so not easy. I mean, you think back to when Jay Cronenworth took the fastball to the ribs in Wrigley Field several weeks ago and landed on the injured list. And then Jackson Merrill goes down, and then Ariz does. With each of those, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a significant injury. That's a big blow. And for the team to have continued to play the way it has and not lose any ground while these guys are out. I mean, they didn't, the Padres, they haven't only just held serve, but they've gained a few paces while these guys are out. And that's really impressive. And, it certainly gives you thought that down the road this season, this is going to be a really, really formidable team.
When you look at all, off-season moves, the Padres didn't make many until like the very end, and it was Nick Pivetta, kind of a wonky deal. But hey, the fact of the matter is they got Nick Pivetta for at least 2 years. I mean, I can make an argument here, Scott, that Nick Pivetta has been the best off-season signing potentially, in baseball, at least from the pitching standpoint. What would you say on that?
No, I agree. You're right. You absolutely can make that argument. And, I'd say, credit to Nick Pivetta, credit to Mike Shildt, Ruben Niebla, credit to the team for the way he's been able to come in and they've been able to rally around him. But also credit to A.J. Preller. I mean, Preller, you think back over the last couple of years, I mean, the signing of Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha, really was terrific. And now Pivetta. Preller's been able to kind of wait late into the winter and not fork over the huge money that it takes to get a guy like Garrett Cole or some of those big marquee names. But he's been able to wait and identify guys who are more affordable, but veteran guys who are going to throw innings, who are going to come in and lead the staff, and they're mature enough to, lead the younger pitchers. And Pavetta's the latest example of that.
Scott Miller with us right now. John and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. What do you make of, Michael King? You think about this trade a year ago. Juan Soto, obviously the headliner, the return we didn't really know at the time. And now Michael King's doing what he's doing. Now he's pitching tonight in the Bronx against the Yankees. I guess it's a two-part question. I mean, what do you make of the full emergence of Michael King in the National League in a Padres uniform? And can the Padres keep him based on the way he's pitched here these 2 years?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. One thing, the Yankees would love to have him back. Yeah. They're pitching. They can use some guys like Michael King, and they let him go. It's a little bit like we just talked about with Pivetta. It's apples and oranges in that it's a free agent versus a guy you acquired by trade. But it's similar in that it goes to AJ and his staff identifying the correct pitchers to bring in here. And that is not easy. So, the baseball operations staff under Preller and his crew, huge kudos. And Michael King he's really blossomed, and it's been fun to watch. And I don't see any reason why he can't keep getting better and better. The affordability, that's a good question. When the, he's going to get more and more expensive. So, I don't know if they can keep him long-term or not. Let's just say another reason why they need to win this year and take advantage of this here is that's one of many reasons. You don't get a crew like this together very often. And when you do, you don't want to blow the opportunity.
Absolutely. Jackson Merrill, he's returning tonight for the Padres. He's only played in 10 games this year, but in those 10 games, he was fantastic. Got the big contract extension. What did you make of the contract extension for Jackson that he got about a month ago?
Yeah, I mean, really good, not just for him, but for the team. I mean, you look around, and I mean, it was, I don't want to say a bargain because, I mean, it's certainly not cheap, and it's going to set Jackson and his family up for life, and it's a substantial commitment from the Padres, but relatively speaking, compared to other young players who are signing deals, like, whether it's Bobby Witt Jr. in Kansas City or whomever, Merrill, he didn't fight and, kick and scream for the last penny. I mean, he gave up some dollars, and that shows me, again, a lot about Jackson Merrill. I've been impressed from day one with this kid, not just his skills on the field, but I think part of the reason he's blossomed so much is, it's a cliche, but he's that old school, just a baseball player. He doesn't get caught up in personal branding and some of the sidelight stuff that's available to these guys. He just wants to win. He wants to play, loves playing. And, every time you hear him interviewed, even after he does something big, he just deflects the attention back to his teammates and the team instead of himself. And I think if you're going to bet long-term, as the Padres have with that contract on a young player, I think Jackson Merrill's a pretty good bet.
Scott, appreciate the insight. Where can our listeners get this book? Skipper, Why Baseball Managers Matter, and Always Will, in parentheses. This is coming out next week, right? A week from today, May 13th. How can our listeners?
1 week from today.
Yeah, how can we get it?
Yeah, it should be available, as they say, wherever books are sold. 1 week from today, it ought to be on the shelves of your local Barnes & Noble, hopefully some independent bookstores. Failing that, there's always the Amazon or Target or Barnes & Noble websites. It's available through all of that. And, you can even order it today, pre-order. It's available for pre-order on Amazon. And that just means if you order it, it'll be delivered to you on May 13th, next Tuesday, when it publishes.
Well, I'm expecting the cover to be Mike Shildt throwing his glasses from last night.
Yes.
I'm sure you can make that change. Scott, always
What
appreciate
a great
it.
team that was.
Oh, man.
Thanks, guys.
That was entertaining. Scott Miller, thank you, my friend. All right. All right, Scott Miller, New York Times. Jim's Back Page coming up next.
All right, John and Jim, for a final time on this Tuesday evening, we will have a wrap-up show tonight. Padres Yankees tied at 2. Good one at Yankee Stadium in the 6th inning. Padres had a lead in this game. They've had opportunities for more than 2 runs. Yankees have come back on an Aaron Judge home run and more to tie the score at 2.
Yeah.
Winner gets
a game tomorrow.
Yeah, winner gets a game tomorrow.
Winner gets ice cream in the clubhouse after the game. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not like the Vetter Cup. I mean,
no, definitely not.
It's not that big of a deal. Just Padres Yankees.
I can't wait until the Vetter Cup, which is, I believe, next weekend, the start of it, or 2 weekends from now. It's coming up pretty quickly. And I can already see it in the dugout. Scans get the first question. So, Shildt, you excited for the start of the Vetter Cup?
It's definitely coming, dude.
And you know Shildt. Fired up, Scans.
Love Seattle.
Dude. Love that.
I love Nirvana.
Yeah, exactly. That is a Friday, May 16th at Petco Park.
So that is
not
next
this weekend, but next weekend. Yeah, you're right.
Wow. The excitement,
man, time flies.
You can already feel it.
It's almost here.
Yeah, wow.
It is almost here. All right, we have a few minutes. Let's get to this.
So just randomly today, Rockstar Games released a full trailer for the brand new GTA 6.
Thought you told me it wasn't coming out until 2026.
I did. It's not. But they just came out just unexpectedly with a trailer today for it.
I want to see that.
Really hard to kind of explain it on the radio, but you're just going to have to go watch it.
GTA 6?
Yeah, GTA 6. They haven't had a GTA game in well over a decade. And it gives you a little insight on what the story might be, but still has yet to show gameplay for the new Grand Theft Auto game.
So it's like more of a video, like those. How do you describe this? Like what I'm seeing here?
It's
a cutscene.
It's like a
cutscene.
It's like a movie cutscenes and then like quests that you have to do, like missions and stuff. So the show The Last of Us on television right now, the very popular show, was a very popular game. And it was like it wasn't like a movie, but it was a story, and it played out, and then it had cutscenes. Sometimes the cutscenes could last like 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then you play. I don't know, dude. It's just
like, man, the people under arrest.
Now, is this returning to Vice City?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So GTA 6 will be back in Vice City, in Miami.
Okay.
So
you gonna pick this up when
I don't have a PS5, so I won't be picking it up. Brent will be picking it up probably.
You got a year.
Sure, you do have a year.
I do have a year, but I know.
What would Aaron say if he's like, "Hey, honey, I just spent $1,000 on a PlayStation 5 and GTA 6"?
Probably wouldn't go over well. I mean, she's not going to be like, "You can't do what you want to do," but I mean, we already do so much, like wrap up show, my phone.
You're free. yeah, I got you.
You know, so
all right,
you can only
game looks
choose so much.
Looks good. Yeah. Potentially. Like you say, we don't know what the game looks like.
Yeah, this is just like cutscenes,
right?
But look, it's going to be highly anticipated, and so the trailer came out today just randomly.
Yeah, like a year, and we said what next May?
Next May,
all right, so a year out.
Yeah, we're still working on some things.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that. Moving on here, John. Let me pull this up here. Did you know that with the NBA returning to NBC next season, they are bringing back
Round Ball Rock.
Yeah. But along with that, you remember it was like this is the NBA on NBC, and then it like the voiceover of the narrator like the Chicago Bulls,
I do,
and the Utah Jazz,
and that narrator has passed away,
Jim Fagan,
but they're going to bring him back via AI, right?
So NBC Sports will be bringing back the voice of Jim Fagan.
That's cool.
He died in 2017, but before his death, Fagan was a beloved NBC broadcaster from 1990 to 2002. Fagan's voice will be used from approval from his family.
Wow.
With the use of AI to be the narrator for the NBA on NBC.
I am looking forward to hearing and watching the NBA on NBC.
I am too.
As someone that grew up in the 90s, I'm looking forward to that.
I'm curious to see the like production of it all and everything. Would be awesome. The NBA production to me has gone stale.
It's gonna look newer now. You're right, because now you have NBC, now we have Amazon, we still have ESPN. I think it's gonna have a freshened look in general next year.
I do too.
And feel.
Yeah. I'm curious to see like, isn't Tirico is the voice?
Mike Tirico and Noah Eagle are their two primary crews.
Now who's the colors?
Amazon? I don't
know.
the
Reggie Miller was one of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Is Richard Jefferson another? Because I don't like Richard Jefferson.
I'm not sure. It's a good question. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Who's in the studio? Carmelo, they announced, is in the studio once a week. I think is that NBC? I think so.
Yeah, I don't really. And then they're moving the TNT crew to ESPN.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know who made Round Ball Rock, don't you?
I do, but I forget his name. What's his name?
John Tesh.
John Tesh.
The old host of Entertainment Tonight.
That's
like
crazy.
One of the most boring dudes ever. Made one of the most awesome sports things.
Yeah, that is weird. What else you have?
Tomorrow is the deadline to get your real IDs out there, everybody. But
so what does that mean?
Don't fear.
But you don't have one?
No, I have one, but
you
it's
have an expired
one, yeah. But don't fear. If you have not gotten a real ID license yet and you are planning to travel in the near future, you can use other forms of identification.
Like a library card?
Like your passport, obviously. There are acceptable alternatives to real IDs. You can still board a domestic flight if you don't have a real ID or another form of acceptable identification. According to TSA, passengers who present a state-issued identification that is not a real ID, compliant at TSA checkpoints, and who do not have another acceptable alternative form of ID will be notified of their non-compliance, may be directed to a separate area, and may receive additional screening, but you can still pass through.
What is a real ID? I mean, what
it has like a
I know, but what's the
stamp on it.
difference? It's like, okay, I have an Indiana driver's license. Well, it's not a real ID. Well, the state of Indiana issued it to me.
Here's what you could use if you don't have a real ID. U.S. passport, U.S. passport card, a state-issued enhanced driver's license, a DHS trusted traveler's card, a U.S. Department of Defense ID, including IDs issued at dependents, permanent residence card, a border crossing card, HSPD 12 PIV card. You know what that is, right, John?
Of course.
Yeah, foreign government issued passport. So yeah, there's plenty of things there, and again, I don't know why they're changing the IDs to real IDs and making everybody do this.
It goes back to 2005. After 9/11, they determined that we needed to update our security measures for IDs on planes and stuff. That's why it's happening.
So 20 years later, we've gotten to that point.
We're there.
Yeah.
Took us 20 years, but we did it, everybody.
All right.
Oh, and real quick too, Kogo did a story on this a couple days ago. The DMV is encouraging, if say your driver's license doesn't expire until like August, don't run out and go get your real ID. Wait until it expires, because they don't want the DMV to be flooded with people going to get the real IDs before they have to go get them.
Well, I'm screwed.
Yeah, because yours is expired.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to Hawaii.
No, it's fine.
Well, mine expires in July, so I'm going to have to do it.
You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to do it.
How did I not get like any email from the DMV saying, hey, your driver's license expired?
They should have sent you a letter.
It went to your spam.
I think it went to my
I
old
got one.
address.
Yeah, they probably did, man. There's probably like 100.
My address
letters
is not correct on here.
That's exactly where it is, man.
Dang it.
All right. If you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify. Wrap-up show coming up tonight. Padres and Yankees, and a good one tonight in the Bronx. All right. Back tomorrow at 2 for Brent and Jim. I'm John. Keep it here. San Diego Sports 760.
Okay. Bye.